Chapter 449. Phew! Hearing his disciples' words, the Grand Elder heaved a heavy sigh of relief. He was a little excited, and tears streamed down his face. Damn it! This time, he must succeed. He had planned this for half a year. Finally, he had waited for this opportunity. This time, he named the operation to stop the ancestral master from demolishing his home. As long as he succeeded this time, then it would be the greatest victory since the establishment of the Tianma cult. Damn it! I've planned this for half a year. This time, I must succeed. The Grand Elder clenched his fists. His turbid old eyes were full of fighting spirit. This kind of excitement and fighting spirit was even stronger than the first time he bid farewell to his virginity. At the side, the group of newbie disciples looked puzzled. What was going on with the Grand Elder? Boom! At this moment, in the sky, a series of thunderous roars continuously sounded. The wind swept away the clouds, forming a huge vortex. A lot of rich spiritual energy was emitted from it. The momentum was so great that it attracted many people. What's going on? What a huge vision of heaven and earth. Who on earth is this? Hey, senior brothers and sisters, why do you look so calm? Unlike the newbie disciples, the senior brothers and sisters of the Tianma cult expressed that they were used to it. They looked at the newbie disciples and said earnestly, "Whenever there's a vision of heaven and earth, think of that man first." That man? The newbie disciples were stunned. Then, they quickly remembered what their senior brothers and sisters had said. Could it be the legendary ancestral master of the Tianma cult? At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on the place where the wind and clouds were surging. It's coming! It's coming! This time, I must succeed. The Grand Elder clenched his fists. Success or failure depended on this. Boom! In the sky, there was a faint sound of thunder. Humph! According to my analysis of the ancestral master demolishing his home, he usually demolishes his home through a lightning tribulation. This time, it's the same. My ancient trees are all lightning resistant. The Grand Elder snorted, looking as if he had a card up his sleeve. How do you think I've spent the past 6 months? In order to prevent the ancestral master from coming back and demolishing his home, he had long prepared. This time, he would definitely win the plan to prevent the ancestral master from demolishing his home. Boom! Rumble! Dark clouds covered the sky, and thunder could be faintly seen. Humph! As expected, a smile appeared on the Supreme Elder's face. Boom! In an instant, the lightning struck down with a loud rumble. He's here. The Supreme Elder widened his eyes in anticipation. Lightning fell like a dragon, roaring as it approached. However, at that very moment, the falling thunder made a spatial leap and landed heavily on the building, not giving the Supreme Elder any time to react. Boom! In an instant, accompanied by a series of excited lion roars, the heavens fell and the earth cracked. Grand Supreme Elder, hey! F***CKU. This time, the lightning strike also carried a step into the void. Holy shit! The ancestral master's ability to tear down a house had become even stronger. Hiss! This old man forgot that in the past half a year, the Patriarch's ability to demolish the house must have improved. F***CK. I was too careless. The Grand Supreme Elder's face was full of regret. He was bitter beyond words. He announced that the plan to prevent the Patriarch from tearing down the house had failed. Just as he was feeling regretful, a jade-like hand gently patted his back. Miss Bailu? The Supreme Elder turned his head and looked at Bailu, who was floating by the side. Suddenly, he felt a sense of familiarity as a tool. With tears streaming down his face, he said, "Miss Bailu, are you here to comfort this old man?" No. Bailu shook her head slightly and looked at the Supreme Elder with a serious expression. Daoisting now has the power of the rules. No matter what you do, you won't be able to stop him. Grand Supreme Elder, oh, also, this is for you. As Bailu spoke, he gave the Grand Elder a small branch. The Supreme Elder was dumbfounded. I'll draw circles for you to relieve your depression. However, remember to return it to me after you're done. Bailu said quietly. The Supreme Elder was silent for a moment. Then, he took the small branch and silently walked to a corner. In the sky, the phenomenon dissipated. Phew! In the room, Ning Tian opened his eyes and clenched his fists. He tried to circulate the power of heaven's punishment. However, his guess was confirmed. He couldn't use the power of heaven's punishment at all. It seems that I can only know a thing or two about the power of heaven's punishment after I enter the ancient road to godhood, Ning Tian murmured. During this seclusion, not only did he master the power of heaven's punishment, but he could still use it. The most important thing was that his strength had finally broken through this time. 7-star God Emperor realm. Not bad. I think I should be able to become a great emperor soon. Becoming a great emperor in 1 year. Why do I feel that the speed is still too slow? It's still not enough. It's far from enough. Ning Tian shook his head slightly and stood up. Now wasn't the time to continue cultivating. Everything was ready. It was time to leave for the endless sea domain. He pushed open the door and headed toward the demonic palace. In the main hall, in the study room. Husband, how's your cultivation? Luo Wuqing looked up at Ning Tian. It's almost done. Ning Tian nodded slightly with a smile on her lips. She sat on the desk in a practiced manner and looked down at Luo Wuqing. Wife, it's about time. We can move now. Have you settled the matters in the church? Luo Wuqing was already used to Ning Tian sitting on her desk. She nodded slightly. I've already settled it. I'm just waiting for you. Also, I've checked the information. The fastest way to the endless sea domain is to go to the Wuji dynasty. The Wuji dynasty is close to the endless sea domain. It's the fastest way. The Wuji dynasty? Hearing this, Ning Tian's expression was a little strange. Why was it them? What's wrong? Luo Wuqing was puzzled. Nothing. Ning Tian smiled and said, I'm old friends with the emperor of the Wuji dynasty. Wife, what do you think I should do? What should I give him? Luo Wuqing. All right, it's almost time to leave. Ning Tian stretched and jumped down from the desk. Go get Yu Yao, Bai Lu, and that baleful lion. Get ready to leave. Dozens of minutes later, the Grand Elder held back his tears of joy as he looked up at the sky, at the huge void ship. He looked reluctant to part with it. Finally, the patriarch was finally gone. Sob. So sad. Ha ha ha. Grand Elder, I'll leave the Tianma cult to you for this period of time. I've already told the Emperor of the Heavenly Nation. You can look for them if you need anything. On the void ship, Luo Wuqing looked at the Grand Elder and said lightly,
Yes.
Empress. The Grand Elder nodded, and then the group watched the void ship leave. Author's words, my brain cells are dead. Chapter 450. In the sky, there was a ripple of void energy, and the void ship quickly disappeared. Phew! The demolition god is finally gone. The Grand Supreme Elder heaved a sigh of relief and wiped the tears from his eyes. Once the patriarch left, the entire Tianma cult would be his. He could do whatever he wanted. That's right. The plan he had been thinking about for half a year could finally be realized today. Patriarch, Empress, when you come back, this old man will give you a big surprise. Kakik. The Grand Supreme Elder's lips curled into a sinister smile. He silently took out the Imperial Maiden painting from his chest. Cough, cough. He took out the wrong painting. He took out the encyclopedia of the 13,823 types of buildings in the profound sky world that was beside the Imperial Maiden portrait. The corner of his mouth revealed a sinister smile. Kiki, once the great Empress and Grandmaster leave, then I can build as I wish. Grand Supreme Elder, your smile just now was very dangerous. A disciple at the side said quietly, Hey, don't ridicule me when I'm showing off. Also, why are you all crying? The Grand Supreme Elder's mouth twitched. He glanced at the group of newbie disciples. Our home is gone. The newbie disciples felt wronged. The Grand Elder glanced at the collapsed buildings and expressed deep sympathy. Then, he looked at the group of newbie disciples and said earnestly, It's time for you to learn how to adapt. Learn more from your senior brothers and sisters' settling techniques. The newbie disciples were puzzled. Oh, right. At this moment, The Grand Supreme Elder seemed to have remembered something. He looked around and frowned slightly. Where are the Patriarch of the Heavenly Nation and the others? Why didn't they come to see the Patriarch and Empress off today? Oh, the Patriarch of the Heavenly Nation and the others are at the show family. Lord Seal Flame Lion heard that they were leaving soon, so he spent a few days going to the Heavenly Nation, Heavenly Treasure Holy Land, Great Compassion Palace. An elder at the side said quietly. The Grand Supreme Elder's mouth twitched, as expected of the Patriarch and Patriarch's pet. Once they left, the buildings in the Heavenly Spirit region were crying for them. Let's go. They went to the show family. In the void, a huge void battleship was heading toward the firmament territory at full speed. On the deck, the flaming Lion King transformed into a few meters in size and stood up straight. It leaned against the spiritual energy supply device and gripped the steering wheel with a depressed expression. That's right, the one driving the void ship now was Sha Tian. How is it, Sha Tian? Look, this is my surprise for you. After my modifications, even if you aren't strong enough, you can still provide energy for the void ship. Ning Tian looked at it with a smile and patted it on the shoulder. Sha Tian, roar, roar grass. Therefore, Master Lion had become a tool lion, hadn't he? It finally understood that there was no one else around, so it was the one with the lowest status on the field. Naturally, it became an excellent tool lion. F*CK. Master Lion was unhappy. I want to return to Tianling. I want to tear down the house. The Grand Elders are the ones who love me. However, Ning Tian ignored the little lion cub. He looked at the women behind him and said softly, Wuqing Yuyao, I have something for you. Something? Hearing this, Su Yueyao's beautiful eyes lit up. On the side, Luo Wuqing, who heard this, seemed to have activated a mechanism. She looked at Ning Tian with disdain, as if she was looking at a pervert. It seemed that she still remembered the time when Ning Tian gave her the breastplate. Haha, wife, don't worry. This time, it's not what you think. Ning Tian smiled and raised his hand slightly. Two dazzling lights appeared in his hand. This is the law? The two women were stunned. Yes, this is the law of God's law. Ning Tian nodded slightly. His eyes fell on the two dazzling lights. I extracted some power from the celestial constitution. I think you should be able to absorb it. The power of God's law might be useless now, but it should be useful on the ancient road to godhood. God's law was very powerful. If it were ordinary people, he wouldn't share it. However, the two women weren't ordinary people. Hee, thank you, husband. Su Yueyao took it graciously and giggled. Well, wife, you take it too. Ning Tian handed the remaining God's law to Luo Wuqing. There's still some time before the firmament territory. You two can comprehend it during this time. Okay. Luo Wuqing nodded his head slightly and accepted the gift without any hesitation. After handing it to the two women, Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu again and said with a smile, Miss Bai Lu, I also have something for you. For me? Bai Lu was stunned. Holding the death bell, she asked curiously, But I'm not your wife. Swish. As soon as she said that, Ning Tian clearly felt a cold gaze fall on him. He quickly coughed to him. Miss Bai Lu, you think too much. This is not something for my wife. You've helped me a lot during this time. This thing must be useful for you. Oh, what is it? Bai Lu looked at Ning Tian curiously. About this. Ning Tian smiled mysteriously and looked at Bai Lu. During this time, he found more and more changes in this girl. At first, Bai Lu was like a cold beauty, but as time passed, she was like a child who was born for the first time, full of ignorance and curiosity. Perhaps, after staying in the Black Earth Dead Mountain for 2 million years, she still didn't change much. Here, for you. Ning Tian mysteriously took out something from the storage ring. It was shining with golden light. Wow! Bai Lu's beautiful eyes sparkled. She looked at it expectantly. It's a tree branch. *#. Bai Lu was at a loss. Until Ning Tian put the branch in her hand. She reacted, Daoist Ning, why did you give me a tree branch? Haha, Didn't I see you often holding the dead bell, squatting in the corner and drawing circles? I thought that your little branch would break sooner or later. Moreover, you can't draw on some hard ground. Mine is different. I can draw anywhere. Ning Tian laughed. Impossible, Ovo. My branch, I brought it out from the dead mountain. It's impossible for it to break. Bai Lu took out the branch that she used to draw circles. Her small face was full of stubbornness. Kacha. At this moment, the branch in her small hand suddenly disappeared, and a cracking sound was heard. Look, isn't it broken? Ning Tian said with a serious face. Bai Lu felt wronged. You? Stop bullying Bai Lu. Luo Wuqing rolled his eyes at Ning Tian. He. When did I bully her? Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu innocently and then looked at her. Don't worry, this branch of mine was broken from that small sapling. It's definitely useful. It's absolutely smooth when you draw circles. Ning Tian patted his chest with a smile of a profiteer. Really? Hearing that the circles were very smooth, the grievance on Bai Lu's face disappeared. She looked at Ning Tian seriously. Absolutely true. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. Author's words, look, I posted another chapter this morning. Should you invest 100 million in silver notes? Chapter 451. After all, this small branch was broken off from the sapling. Since it was an unknown tree, even a small branch from it was definitely not an ordinary item. As for why this branch broke off, it was entirely because the sapling was too weak. Then I'll accept it. Bai Lu took the branch from the unknown tree from Ning Tian, her eyes shining brightly. Thank you, Taoist Ning. After thanking him, Bai Lu walked to a corner of the void ship and knelt down skillfully with the death bell in her arms. Then, she began to draw circles on it. Seeing this, Ning Tian and the others shook their heads helplessly. Okay, honey, go and comprehend the heavenly punishment law, Ning Tian said casually. He looked at the fire-sealing Lion King and said, Shak Tian, speed up. We'd better get to the firmament territory as soon as possible. Roar. A lion's roar rang out from the void ship, indicating that it was willing to work without complaint. The firmament territory. The Wuji divine dynasty in the Chaos Imperial realm. Hundreds of birds flew together, the country was prosperous, and the people were at peace. The Wuji divine dynasty was a city that stretched as far as the eye could see. The capital of the divine dynasty. This was the capital of the Wuji divine dynasty. It was prosperous. Many cultivators flew on their swords, and many peddlers shouted in low voices. It was indeed the most prosperous city in the Chaos Imperial realm other than the Chaos Imperial city. Emperor, I see that you've been a little absent-minded recently, a white-haired elder asked with a frown as he looked at Di Wuji, who was lying on the dragon throne, in a magnificent hall. Medicine Master Lu, what's wrong with me? Di Wuji rubbed his head tiredly. He got up slightly and looked at the white-haired elder beside him. In my opinion, you might be sick. Medicine Master Lu analyzed and finally came to a conclusion. Sick? Di Wuji frowned. The person in front of him was the best doctor in the Wuji divine dynasty. But, he said in a serious tone, Medicine Master Lu, I'm a demigod. What kind of illness can invade my body? Haha. Medicine Master Lu smiled and shook his head. Emperor, you might not know that illness doesn't just refer to the body. It could also be a mental illness. Mental illness? Di Wuji frowned. Has the Celestial Emperor missed someone recently? Or does she often appear in your mind? Human. Di Wuji pondered for a while and said, There is indeed one person. Since that day in the Black Earth Dead Mountain, when he found out about Ning Buxu's identity and background, he had a sense of defeat and even a vague sense of shame. With his background, he dared to challenge Ning Buxu. It was somewhat unsightly. He deeply understood how powerful Ning Buxu's background was. That was a heavenly god powerhouse. As expected, Medicine Master Lu smiled knowingly, then said, Does the Emperor lose control of his emotions when he thinks of that person? Even if you try hard to forget her, you can't do it? This, Di Wuji frowned and looked at Medicine Master Lu. Medicine Master Lu is indeed an expert in medicine. You guessed everything correctly. Indeed, as soon as he thought of how formidable fellow Daoist Ning was, unwillingness appeared in his heart. He wanted to stop thinking about it for the time being, but that unwillingness suddenly rose up again. Medicine Master Lu, how should I treat this heart disease? Or should I say, what kind of immortal medicine would be effective? Di Wuji looked at Medicine Master Lu and asked with a frown. If this feeling persisted for a long time, it would probably become a heart demon. He needed to treat it as soon as possible. Emperor, this is the most primitive emotion of a human. There is no need to care about it. Medicine Master Lu shook his head slightly and said with a smile, the most primitive emotion? Di Wuji was stunned. Yes, actually, the Emperor's situation is very simple. It is nothing more than falling in love with a woman. You just need to bring her into your harem. Medicine Master Lu analyzed from the side. However, before he could finish, he was interrupted by Di Wuji. Wait, I feel a familiar aura. This aura, I can't be wrong. She is here. As soon as he finished speaking, Di Wuji walked out of the hall in a flash. Huh, she is here. Could it be that she will become the Emperor's 3001st harem? Medicine Master Lu frowned slightly and followed. In the capital of the God Dynasty, there was a roar in the sky. Then, there was a fluctuation in the void. A huge object appeared in the sky above the capital of the Divine Dynasty. In an instant, the eyes of the common people and cultivators below were drawn to it. When they saw the huge battleship, they were all stunned. Their eyes were filled with confusion. What was this black thing? A flying ship? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, there were waves of fluctuations in the surroundings. The commotion here alarmed the soldiers in the capital of the Divine Dynasty. One by one, the soldiers in armor immediately stepped into the air and flew over. The waves of pressure coming from them indicated that the weakest one was a peak heavenly venerable. The guards of the Wuji Divine Dynasty seemed to be quite strong. A hearty voice sounded from the huge battleship. You, seniors, who are you? Seeing the few people on the void ship, the group of soldiers in the capital of the Divine Dynasty's expression changed slightly. They could not see through any of the people in front of them. Even the lion could not see through them. There was also the woman in white who was drawing circles in the corner. Her body was transparent, and her body was floating lightly. Could it be a ghost spirit? Could it be that the circles she drew were some kind of vicious curse? In an instant, the attitude of the group of soldiers became respectful. They could not cause trouble for the Wuji Divine Dynasty. At this moment, a voice sounded. Fellow Daoist Ning, long time no see. Then, two sounds of air being torn apart rang out. Di Wuji and Medicine Master Lu flew out of the main hall and headed in the direction of the void ship. Emperor. Greetings, Emperor. When they saw Di Wuji, the group of soldiers quickly knelt in the void and bowed. Countless common people and cultivators below also bowed. Di Wuji waved his hand slightly. Then, with a hint of majesty in his voice, he said to the group of soldiers, Fellow Daoist Ning is my friend. When you see him in the future, don't stop him. Do you understand? Yes. The group of soldiers quickly nodded and heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they knew what was good for them. Otherwise, they would have inadvertently provoked the Emperor's friend. At the side, seeing how excited Di Wuji was, Medicine Master Lu seemed to have understood something. He looked at the void ship. In the next moment, his pupil shrank. He was extremely shocked. There was actually such a beautiful woman in the world. Moreover, there were 3 of them. Could it be the Emperor has fallen in love with one of these 3, or all of them? Medicine Master Lu frowned. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. Why? The Emperor was not looking sideways. He was only looking at that handsome young man. Moreover, his furrowed brows also seemed to relax. Hiss, no. What the F***CK? Could it be that the Emperor likes men? Chapter 452. Shocking. It turned out that the Celestial Emperor liked men. Medicine Master Lu's body trembled slightly as he kept wiping the cold sweat off his forehead. Everything was beyond his expectations. What should he do now? He looked at Ning Tian, who was chatting happily with Di Wuji, with shock in his heart. What kind of man was this? How could he make the emperor feel that way? You've shocked Medicine Master Lu. You've achieved the take-all achievement. The effect of the divine charm constitution has been strengthened. At this moment, the system's voice sounded in Ning Tian's mind. Ning Tian, O_O? What the hell? Who was shocked? What was the take-all thing? Fellow Taoist Ning, what's wrong with you? Di Wuji was puzzled when he saw Ning Tian in a daze. Aha, nothing. Ning Tian waved his hand slightly and continued to reminisce with Di Wuji. After all, they had to reminisce before cheating him. They had to go through the basic process. At the side, Medicine Master Lu quickly retracted his gaze. At this moment, he gasped and felt that his heart, which had not beat for a long time, seemed to have trembled. He was shocked. What was going on? What was this feeling of being in love? Could it be that I've fallen for this young man too? No. How could I snatch a man from the celestial emperor? This is a big taboo. However, what Medicine Master Lu did not know was that all this was because the divine charm constitution had just been strengthened. Well, Emperor, this old man will take his leave first. You can have a good chat with this young master. You must pay attention to your safety and do not face any difficulties head-on. Medicine Master Lu said earnestly to Di Wuji. Then, he ran away with tears in his eyes. Perhaps this was what it felt like to be heartbroken. When they saw this scene, they were all stunned for a moment. Ning Tian asked, Di Wuji, has your medicine master always been like this? Surprised face. Di Wuji replied, I don't know about this. Oh, right. Ning Tian smiled at Di Wuji and said, Old Emperor, I thought of something. Huh. What did fellow Taoist Ning think of? Di Wuji was stunned. Then, he added, also, please don't call me Old Emperor, fellow Taoist Ning. It sounds like you're calling me little brother. Oh, then, Old Wuji. Before Ning Tian could finish his words, Di Wuji's face darkened. He said quietly, Taoist Ning, just call me Old Emperor. I think it's more intimate that way. Di Wuji would not say that Old Wuji was very similar to the name of the brothel lady in the Wuji divine dynasty, Old Wuji. Aha. Old Emperor, didn't you say that you wanted to spar with me? Now, I don't feel weak. Why don't we do it now? Ning Tian said with a smile. Di Wuji was taken aback by Ning Fan's kind smile. He frowned slightly and muttered to himself, that's not right. Why does fellow Taoist Ning's kind smile make me instinctively fearful? Since fellow Taoist Ning said so, then Di Wuji was just about to agree. Suddenly, it was only then that he noticed the three women on the void ship. The woman holding the death bell has been following fellow Taoist Ning. Di Wuji's heart trembled when he saw Bai Lu, whom he had seen in the black soil Death Mountain. He naturally knew Bai Lu's strength. And that day, a woman who could transform into a fox demon. Wait, this woman? Suddenly, Di Wuji's gaze landed on Luo Wuqing. His heart trembled. Not only was this woman extremely beautiful, but her strength was probably above his. Most importantly, as the emperor of the Wuji divine dynasty, he could naturally sense a unique aura from Luo Wuqing. It was a kind of the aura of an emperor. The aura of an emperor was far above his. Obviously, this should be fellow Taoist Ning Buxu's first wife. She was also the descendant of the God Domain's God Saint Sun, as mentioned by the mysterious expert that day. Old Emperor? Ning Tian looked at Di Wuji kindly and asked with a smile. Di Wuji touched his nose. When he thought of the four demigod realm experts standing in front of him, he swallowed his saliva and quickly said, I'm afraid I can't today. I'm weak. Yes, I'm weak, so I can't fight. Is that so? That's a pity. Ning Tian spread his hands, indicating that he had given him a chance. Since he didn't seize it, he couldn't blame him. That's right. Di Wuji quickly changed the topic. I wonder why fellow Taoist Ning has come to the Wuji divine dynasty. Don't tell me you're here to spar with me? No. Don't think too much. Don't be so narcissistic. Ning Tian waved his hand slightly. The corner of Di Wuji's mouth twitched. After a moment of silence, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. As expected of fellow Taoist Ning, he didn't stop talking until he choked someone to death. Then, why did fellow Taoist Ning come to the Wuji Divine Dynasty? We're going to the Endless Sea Domain. I heard that it'll be faster if we pass through the Wuji Divine Dynasty, Ning Tian said lightly. Hearing this, Di Wuji nodded slightly. The Endless Sea Domain was the strangest place in the firmament territory. One couldn't fly above the Endless Sea Domain for a long time and couldn't fly more than 100 meters high. What was even stranger was that one couldn't even use the void ability. Therefore, if one wanted to go deep into the Endless Sea Domain, they could only use the most primitive method, which was a ship. Since the Wuji Divine Dynasty was close to the Endless Sea Domain, it was indeed the most convenient to set off from there. I see. Di Wuji nodded slightly and then said to Ning Tian with a serious look, however, fellow Taoist Ning, you'd better be careful. The Endless Sea Domain hasn't been peaceful recently. Not peaceful? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows slightly. Yes. Di Wuji nodded heavily. Oh, doesn't that mean that there's something good? Ning Tian's eyes flashed. In his mind, if there was something bad, it meant that there was something good. It seemed that he was fated to be in the Endless Sea Domain. Di Wuji was silent for a while. He thought that fellow Taoist Ning would retreat or be a little more serious. However, he did not expect that Ning Buxu's first thought would be that there was something good. What kind of weird brain circuit was this? He could not figure it out at all. Fellow Taoist Ning, you must not let your guard down. Even a demigod powerhouse needs to be careful, Di Wuji warned. Don't worry, I have 3 demigod powerhouses with me, Ning Tian said casually. The corners of Di Wuji's mouth twitched. So, what is the reason for the unrest in the Endless Sea Domain? Ning Tian looked at Di Wuji. He naturally understood that he should be vigilant. There was no need for Di Wuji to remind him. No matter how much he said now, it would not be as useful as being vigilant in the Endless Sea Domain. It's the sea beasts, Di Wuji said slowly. Sea beasts. Ning Tian and the others frowned slightly. They were all from the Heavenly Spirit region. There was no sea in the Heavenly Spirit region, so they were not familiar with the sea beasts. Author's words regarding the plot. What do you think of it? You can give some opinions appropriately. Also, are you satisfied with the author's current humorous writing style? Here, give some opinions. Chapter 453.
Yes.
It's a sea beast. Di Wuji nodded slightly, then looked around with a smile on his face. Why don't we go somewhere else to talk? Taoist Ning. After all, there are too many people here. At this moment, they were in the sky, and countless people in the capital of the Divine Dynasty were staring at them. Sure. Lead the way, old emperor. Ning Tian nodded, and several people and 1 lion disembarked from the void ship. Then, he waved his hand gently, and the void ship disappeared into the void. Now that his strength had increased, he no longer needed to put the void ship into his storage ring and take it out again. Yes. Di Wuji nodded slightly, then glanced at Sha Tian and said, then this little lion must be the ancestral master's mascot, right? Hearing this, the Sealing Flame Lion King's eyes widened. Stupid human, you're the mascot. I'm the sect master of the Demolishing Heaven sect, Sha Tian. If you say I'm the mascot again, don't blame me for being ruthless and demolishing your whole family. However, these were just its thoughts. In fact, what it made were just some howls. Many women below were overflowing with motherly love when they heard it. Their eyes widened, and they couldn't wait to take this fierce little lion back home. Yes, it's the mascot. Ning Tian nodded silently. Roaring grass. Since it's the mascot, then, Longjiang. Di Wuji said to a certain place, and then a golden light flashed from the capital. Longjiang, who they saw that day, appeared in front of everyone again. Master. Longjiang's body shone with a golden light, and his dragon body was domineering. Compared to the Sealing Flame Lion King, this little lion was useless except for acting cute and demolishing homes. Sigh. For sighs resounded. At this moment, Sha Tian clearly sensed four gazes that were filled with resentment for failing to live up to expectations. Roar. Sha Tian was a little unhappy, and he roared. Lion language. Just you wait. Sooner or later, I, Master Lion, will prove to you that I'm better than this stupid dragon. Long Jiang, bring this little lion to my back garden. I remember that there should be a beautiful demon lion I bought from the waste region a few days ago. Di Wuji's voice rang out just as the Lion King was feeling indignant. Yes, master. Long Jiang nodded his head slightly. Roar? Hearing the words beautiful demonic lion, the eyes of the ceiling flame Lion King lit up. His interest was piqued. It patted Di Wuji's shoulder and roared twice. Little Emperor, I didn't know that you know how to conduct yourself. I'll be merciful this time, and I won't tear down your little capital of the divine dynasty. Fellow Taoist Ning, what is your mascot saying? Di Wuji was confused. He still didn't know that his unintentional action had actually saved him from a disaster. Nothing. Ning Tian shook his head slightly and looked at the ceiling flame Lion King, who couldn't wait to leave with Long Jiang. He couldn't help but sigh deeply. Sigh, what a lecherous lion. Like master, like pet. He's not like me at all. He's so serious. As soon as he said that, the girls and Di Wuji were all stunned. Hey, you're the master of the ceiling flame Lion King. Okay? What a good way to scold yourself. Haha, fellow Taoist Ning, you're really good at joking. Everyone, follow me. Di Wuji chuckled. Then, he led the group and flew toward the inner part of the imperial city. In the main hall, hiss, 3000 beauties in your harem. I didn't expect you to really have 3,000 beauties in your harem. Not one more, not one less. Ning Tian clicked his tongue and sighed. He had heard a lot from Di Wuji along the way. TSK, 3000 beauties in your harem. This is the dream of every male cultivator. If it weren't for the fact that I'm a little more handsome than you, even I would be envious. Haha, an imperial emperor should act like an imperial emperor. Di Wuji smiled lightly and looked at Ning Tian. He said, in my opinion, fellow Taoist Ning has a strong background and is so powerful. Moreover, you have an extraordinary appearance. Yes. If you know how to talk, then talk more. Ning Tian nodded silently. So, if fellow Taoist Ning is willing, you can actually expand your harem. After all, with your strength, you are fully qualified to do so. At this moment, Di Wuji's voice sounded. Yes, huh. Ning Tian nodded subconsciously. Suddenly, he realized that there was something wrong with what he said. Is this old emperor really dancing in a minefield? Damn it. Is this guy trying to kill me? Swoosh. The moment Di Wuji's words fell, he clearly sensed 3 pairs of eyes simultaneously landing on him. Their gazes contained a trace of coldness that was extremely terrifying. Huh. No. Why are there 3 pairs of eyes? That's right. One of them belonged to Bai Lu. She didn't know what was going on. She only saw Wu Qing and Yue Yao looking coldly at Ning Tian. Therefore, for the sake of unity, she looked over as well. As for why there was coldness in her eyes, it was because she was cold to begin with. Ahaha. Old Emperor, you're too good at joking. Ning Tian laughed awkwardly. He looked at Di Wuji with a kind gaze. The kinder his gaze was, the more Di Wuji's instinctive fear grew. Old Emperor, men can't be so fickle. Only with a clear heart can you cultivate for a long time. Also, people can't only think about that. Otherwise, they will regress. As the saying goes, women will only affect the speed at which you draw your sword. Do you understand? Ning Tian explained seriously why he only had 2 wives. He used the most beautiful words to cover up the truth that he was henpecked. Hearing this, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao sneered inwardly. Men. If it was someone else who said this, they might have believed it. However, Ning Tian didn't say it at all. After all, he would take them to exercise whenever he had free time. How could he be someone who would say such big words? Hiss, I see. Di Wuji suddenly understood. Luo Wuqing, at this moment, Luo Wuqing suspected that there was something wrong with the emperor's brain. How could she be fooled by her husband? Ahem. Ning Tian coughed dryly. He picked up the tea that the maidservant beside him handed him. After taking a sip, he said, "All right, let's skip this topic. Let's talk about the sea beasts first." Sea beasts, Di Wuji murmured and looked at Ning Tian. Daoist Ning, you should have heard of the dark turmoil, right? The dark turmoil. Hearing this, Ning Tian frowned. Why was it this word again? It seemed like everything was related to this matter. Then, he nodded slightly. I've heard of it. Continue. The sea beasts are the demonic beasts left behind before the dark turmoil. They maintain the most primitive wildness, so they are abnormally strong. Also, the dragon general is a sea beast, Di Wuji murmured. Author's words. Hee. Bai Lu is in my hands. If you want to save her, hee. Chapter 454. Demon beasts left behind during the dark turmoil? Hearing Di Wuji's words, Ning Tian, Luo Wuqing, and the other girls frowned. The dark turmoil was too long ago. Even though they had read ancient books, they did not know anything about it. However, it seemed that there was an existence that had lived for a long time now. Bai Lu, do you know anything about the dark turmoil? Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu, who was squatting at the side with the death bell in her arms, and asked. Bai Lu shook her head and said seriously, the dark turmoil was too long ago. Even I don't know about it. Hearing this, the few of them frowned. Even Bai Lu from 2 million years ago did not know about it. Fellow Taoist Ning, I think it's best if you don't ask about the dark turmoil. Be careful not to anger some existences that you can't afford to provoke. There are gods watching over you. Di Wuji held his teacup and said earnestly. Hearing this, Ning Tian just smiled faintly. He would not be able to understand the dark turmoil for a while. It was better to focus on this trip to the endless sea domain. So, this time it's the sea beasts in the endless sea domain that are causing trouble? He looked at Di Wuji and asked.
Yes.
Di Wuji nodded slightly and said, however, according to my intelligence network, someone should have deliberately alarmed the sea beasts in the endless sea domain. Who? Ning Tian frowned. Perhaps it's the Sea Demon Clan. Di Wuji said unhurriedly. The Sea Demon Clan? Ning Tian looked over. Yes, Taoist Ning, you can understand it as a general term for all the creatures in the endless sea domain. Di Wuji nodded, and a glint flashed in his eyes. My Wuji dynasty is close to the endless sea domain, so I'm quite familiar with these sea demon clans. These sea beasts have a fishy smell. They are greedy and cold-blooded, and they are good at disguising. Taoist Ning, if you encounter them, you must be careful. Di Wuji's words were filled with disgust. It seemed that he was very dissatisfied with these so-called sea demon clans. Old Emperor, it seems that you have had a lot of fights with the Sea Demon Clan. Ning Tian looked at Di Wuji and said meaningfully.
Yes.
An old rival, Di Wuji said casually. Then there must be a lot of countermeasures against sea monsters and sea beasts, right? Ning Tian smiled as he looked at Di Wuji. He had a lot of information on how to deal with sea beasts and sea demons. It would be a loss if he didn't scam him.
Haha.
Of course there is. Di Wuji did not intend to hide anything. After laughing loudly, he told Ning Tian and the others everything he knew. Then, are these sea beasts or sea demons poisonous? A small number of them do. Is the skin of these sea beasts hard? Without a good weapon, I won't be able to cut it down. I have an immortal artifact divine weapon. If fellow Taoist Ning doesn't mind, I don't mind. In the next half an hour, Ning Tian asked Di Wuji all kinds of questions about the sea beasts and the Sea Demon Clan. When Di Wuji saw how eager fellow Taoist Ning was, he immediately felt that he could do it again. He answered all of Ning Tian's questions. Seeing this scene, the girls shook their heads helplessly. Didn't Di Wuji realize that every time Ning Tian asked him a question, he would have to give him a corresponding treasure in return?
Haha.
Thanks to you, old emperor, I feel that there shouldn't be a problem dealing with those sea beasts. Ning Tian smiled and quietly put all the treasures that Di Wuji gave him into his storage ring. I'm very happy to be able to help fellow Taoist Ning. Di Wuji waved his hand. Although he said that he was happy, He felt like he was missing something. It was really strange. However, fellow Taoist Ning, I still have to remind you to be careful of those sea beasts, Di Wuji said in a wishy-washy voice. Hearing this, Ning Tian frowned quietly. Why was this old emperor so hesitant? At the side, Luo Wuqing seemed to have noticed Ning Tian's impatient expression. He looked at Di Wuji indifferently and said indifferently, "My husband already understands. Fellow Taoist, you don't have to say anymore." As soon as Di Wuji's words stopped, he felt a cold light fall on his body. He quickly shut up. On the other side, Sui Weiyao pointed at Luo Wuqing and whispered to Bai Lu, "Bai Lu, look. This is the husband-protecting crazy demon." Husband-protecting crazy demon? What is that? Confused face. Bai Lu hugged the death bell with a puzzled expression. Yes, husband-protecting crazy demon is a very powerful person. Hee, do you want to become a very powerful person? Su Yueyao's eyes were full of slyness as she looked at Bai Lu seriously. Yes, I don't want it. Bai Lu shook her head slightly and hugged the death bell. Her small face was full of seriousness as she said, "Because I'm already very powerful." Sui Weiyao fell into silence. She looked at Ning Tian and murmured in her heart, "Hubby, you have a successor. This girl can also act cool." After chatting for a while, Ning Tian and the others were ready to leave. It's getting late. I've already scammed all that I need to. No. I've already understood everything that I need to understand. Old Emperor, we'll take our leave first. Ning Tian touched the storage ring on her finger, and a satisfied smile appeared on her face. Then I wish fellow Taoist Ning a smooth journey. I'll send you out of the palace. Di Wuji nodded slightly. He was a little excited. After chatting with fellow Taoist Ning for a long time, he also learned a lot. It turned out that fellow Taoist Ning didn't get close to women. This was the reason why he became strong. It seems that my harem is only a drag on my sword-drawing speed. A group of people came out of the palace. Ning Tian whistled softly. Not far away, a red shadow flashed over. It was the flame-sealing Lion King. Right now, its face was flushed red as if it was enjoying something. Roar! It roared softly at Ning Tian and the others. There seemed to be a trace of pride in its roar. Then, its enormous body reverted back to its tiny form. Old Emperor, we're leaving, Ning Tian said casually. Then, he led the group of people and flew toward the border of the Wuji divine dynasty. Soon, the group of people disappeared. Fellow Taoist Ning, I hope you have a smooth journey, Di Wuji murmured. At this moment, a golden light flashed beside him. Long Jiang flew over, and he was holding a small book in his hand. Long Jiang, what's that in your hand? Di Wuji was puzzled. Emperor, it's a gift from Brother Shatian, Long Jiang replied. Oh, a gift from fellow Taoist Ning's mascot? Then you can keep it well. Since it has a relationship with fellow Taoist Ning, it must be of great use, Di Wuji said earnestly. After saying that, he disappeared in a flash. Long Jiang was left alone in the same place. Since the emperor said so, I must learn it well. Long Jiang looked at him. There were 3 words written on the small book in his hand. Word disassembly technique. Chapter 455. The vast ocean stretched as far as the eye could see. The sea breeze blew, bringing with it a hint of fishy smell and spiritual energy. Many cultivators had gathered here. This was the most stable port to the endless ocean. Sea God's Port. Several figures flew in the sky. Roar! The sealing flame Lion King proudly hummed a little tune in the lion language. It looked extremely happy, causing Ning Tian and the others to facepalm helplessly. Could it be that this little lion was so happy because it had eaten meat? But that was not the case. The beautiful lions of the waste region were indeed very fragrant, but what made Sha Tian really happy was that he had given the Long Jiang the dismantling formula. As the saying went, if you can't get it, destroy it. Since he couldn't surpass Long Jiang in other areas, he would let Long Jiang join his strongest area. Wouldn't that be the best way to surpass Long Jiang? Roar! Roar! Master Lion's wisdom was unparalleled except for the patriarch, the first matriarch, the second matriarch, and Bai Lu. Husband. This is the endless ocean. Luo Wuqing looked into the distance and saw an endless ocean. The seawater was surging, bringing with it waves of spiritual energy. There were even some fish and beasts swimming in the undercurrent of the lake. It was an endless abyss. Ning Tian nodded. This was definitely the largest ocean he had ever seen. He looked at Wu Qing and Yu Yao and said in a serious tone, "Wife, little wife, I suddenly thought of something very serious." The two women looked at Ning Tian in confusion. "Do you think this is considered our honeymoon?" Ning Tian said with a serious face. The two women, Wu Qing and Yu Yao, were silent for a moment and rolled their eyes at Ning Tian. At the side, Bai Lu and the Flaming Lion King were confused. If the three of them were here for a honeymoon, why did they follow? Bai Lu, meow, meow, meow. The Flaming Lion King, roar. Lion language, Bai Lu, why are you imitating me? At this moment, an old voice sounded from below. Little friends, come down quickly. You can't fly in the endless ocean. Hearing the old man's voice, Ning Tian and the others immediately looked down and saw an old fisherman in a straw raincoat waving at them, indicating for them to come down. They descended from the sky because they were going to descend anyway. Elder, why are you looking for us? Ning Tian looked at the old fisherman and asked with a frown. Of course. The old fisherman stroked his white beard and looked at them with a serious expression. I presume this is the first time you've come to the Endless Sea region. You can't fly in the Endless Sea region. If you fly for too long, your spiritual chi will be consumed by the aura of the boundless ocean. Once you run out of spiritual energy and fall into the sea, you'll be dead for sure. Oh, so that's how it is. Thank you, Elder. Although he had already heard about it from Diwuji, Ning Tian still smiled at the old fisherman. Be more careful in the future. The old fisherman reminded them with a serious expression, looking like a kind elder. Then, he sized up Ning Tian and the others, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. With one look, he could tell that these people were the children of wealthy families from the Wuji dynasty. I see that this is your first time here. I presume you're going to pass through the Endless Sea region? He coughed dryly and looked at Ning Tian and the others.
Yes.
Elder, you're really good at predicting things. Ning Tian said with a smile. Pimp, of course. I'm an old fisherman. The old fisherman snorted proudly. Then, he rolled his eyes and said, How about this? I'll send you on your way. 100,000 spirit coins per person. How about that? Oh? Hearing this, Ning Tian's lips curled up slightly. This old fox had finally shown his tail. He knew from the beginning that this old fisherman would not be so kind as to remind them. He must be up to something. It turned out that he wanted to take advantage of the situation and earn some money for the ticket. Sigh. We've been recruited by this old man again. What a pity. This old bastard always pretends to be a kind senior. He always earns the most. Damn it. This profiteer. Not far away, many cultivators who were also dressed like fishermen were furious when they saw this scene. Haha. Young friends, when are we leaving? If you're in a hurry, we can board the ship now. The old fisherman's eyes were shining. These people were dressed like rich people. They must be rich. I've made a lot of money today. Well, there's no hurry. Ning Tian smiled and revealed a kind smile. He looked at the old fisherman and said, Old man, I see that you often work at the seaside. Do you often feel a bit of pain in your legs? I've learned some medical skills. How about I take a look at them for you? The old fisherman hesitated. Don't worry. It's free. Ning Tian smiled innocently. Yes, my husband is so kind. On the side, Sui Weiyao giggled and added. Luo Wuqing's expression was indifferent. She knew that her husband was going to scam them. Is that so? It's good to be kind. Young people nowadays have to be kind. As soon as he heard that it was free, the old fisherman immediately agreed. Then, Ning Tian casually checked his pulse. After a while, he looked at the old fisherman with a serious expression. Elder, you have a terminal illness. Find a place with good scenery and prepare for your funeral. Huh. Terminal illness? Young friend, don't scare me. As soon as he heard the word terminal illness, the old fisherman trembled in fear. Elder, do you feel cold all over now? Ning Tian said with a smile. Hiss, now that you mention it, it seems, do you feel that the flow of spiritual energy is slower now? Not only is the flow of spiritual energy slow, I feel like my heart is going to stop. The old fisherman panicked. See, this is a terminal illness, Ning Tian said with a smile. As if nothing had happened, he withdrew the spiritual energy that was controlling the old fisherman's body. He sighed and said, Elder, you should prepare for your funeral. This, young friend, you have to save me. The old fisherman burst into tears. I still have an 18-year-old wife waiting for me at home. Well, Ning Tian had a kind smile on his face. He said with some difficulty, I do have an immortal pill. However, it is a little expensive. I'll buy it. The old fisherman thought that his life was more important, 10 million spirit coins. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. Deal. The old fisherman gritted his teeth. Thank you for your patronage. You're welcome to come again. Ning Tian smiled and took the 10 million spirit coins from the old fisherman. Then, he handed him an ordinary pill that cost 1 spirit coin. Seeing this, many people's mouths twitched. Why did they feel that something was wrong? Wasn't the old fisherman trying to scam this kid? Why did it become the old fisherman paying? Young friend, thank you for saving my life. The old fisherman couldn't wait to swallow the pill. Instantly, he felt that the aura just now had disappeared. His vitality came back. He looked at Ning Tian excitedly. Young friend, if you don't mind, I'll give you a ride for free this time. No need. We have a boat. Ning Tian waved his hand and led the girls to the shore. What a good person. The old fisherman looked at Ning Tian's back with gratitude. He was simply a reincarnation of Hua Tuo. Not far away, Ning Tian sighed. If he knew that the old man would be so easily fooled, he would have set the price higher. Using 1 spirit coin to earn 10 million spirit coins, well, it wasn't a huge profit, but at least it wasn't a loss. Chapter 456. Hundreds of ships stopped by the coast. Ning Tian and the others walked towards the coast and saw many ship vendors hawking. These were all merchants of the limitless divine dynasty. They sold or rented spirit royal ships to cultivators who wanted to enter the endless sea realm to make a living. Ships that could sail into the endless sea realm were naturally not ordinary ships. These ships all had the same name, Spirit Royal Ship. It could sail into the deep sea and greatly reduce the corrosion of the endless sea realm's spirit chi, protecting the cultivators on the ship from being affected by the endless sea realm. Wow, husband, there are so many people. Sui Weiyao held Ning Tian's hand and looked around. Her bell-like laughter instantly attracted the attention of many cultivators. When they saw her face clearly, many of them trembled. Damn, what a beautiful woman. Damn, other than that stupid lion, everyone around that kid is as beautiful as fairies. When the surrounding cultivators saw this scene, they were all envious and jealous. I'm so jealous. Why isn't that kid me? Are you as handsome as him? No. Then why are you asking? He's just a little more handsome than me. I'm not convinced. Hold it in. But why does this young man look so familiar? Around them, many cultivators looked at Ning Tian and the others and discussed. However, Ning Tian and the others did not care about the surrounding gazes at all. They were still talking and laughing. It's a pity that the old emperor doesn't know why those sea demons startled the sea beasts. Ning Tian murmured. It seemed that he could only find out the reason on the way. Then, he looked at the women and chuckled. I just asked around. There are many delicious fish beasts in the endless sea realm. I'll catch a few later. I'm afraid you don't know that your husband's cooking skills are top-notch. Oh, really? Sui Weiyao widened her eyes in anticipation. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly and said lightly, although I've been fasting for a long time, if it's made by my husband, I don't mind trying it. At the side, Bai Lu and the Sealing Flame Lion King who saw this scene were stunned and puzzled. They really seem to be on vacation. Fellow Taoists. At this moment, a voice sounded. Then, a group of cultivators who looked like they were here to deliver their heads to Ning Tian and the others. It's the Greater One sect. Quite a few God Emperor experts. It seems that they are also here for the treasure in the sea. When they saw this group of cultivators with powerful auras, many of the surrounding cultivators frowned. There was a trace of fear in their eyes. The more powerful enemies there were, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. A treasure in the sea? The words of the surrounding cultivators caused Ning Tian's eyebrows to twitch. Then, a smile appeared on his face. Since he had heard it, it was a sign of fate. Fellow Taoists, you must be here for the treasure in the sea, right? Why don't we share a boat? It just so happens that I have some good wine here. Good wine and beautiful women are simply. These greater one-sect cultivators had smiles on their faces, and their shifty eyes were fixed on the women, just as they were walking toward them. Before they could finish their words, a black light flashed in Ning Tian's eyes. Then, he waved his hand gently at them. Suddenly, these greater one-sect cultivators fell to the ground without any warning. Seeing this scene, many cultivators were stunned. Strange. When did the greater one sect change their profession from robbers to scammers? But when some of the cultivators checked, their expressions changed drastically, and a trace of horror flashed in their eyes. Dead? A few God Emperor realm experts died mysteriously while they were walking? In an instant, everyone felt a chill run down their spine. In the past, there were always people who said that some people died while walking, but they didn't believe it. Now, they had witnessed such a scene with their own eyes. At this moment, everyone broke out in cold sweat like a waterfall. That young man. I know who he is. Around them, a middle-aged cultivator's expression changed drastically. He looked at Ning Tian with reverence in his eyes. He is Ning Buxu. He's suave, elegant, and handsome. Moreover, he is accompanied by a peerless beauty every time. Most importantly, he has a silly lion with him. That's right, he is Ning Buxu, the Ning Buxu who robbed 1,000,000 cultivators in the Chaos Emperor City. At the side, Ning Tian listened to the middle-aged cultivator's words and nodded. Actually, he is only slightly more handsome than all of you. Ning Buxu, I heard that he is a demigod expert. Why is he here too? At this moment, all the cultivators in the sea god's harbor were shocked. Ning Buxu's name resounded like thunder in their ears. They had heard of him a long time ago. After all, he was the first to rob 1,000,000 cultivators in the Chaos Emperor City since ancient times. Some cultivators even secretly gave Ning Buxu a nickname. They called him the most shameless demigod since ancient times. This was because no demigod expert had ever used his demigod strength to rob 1,000,000 cultivators. After all, they cared about their reputation. You have shocked all the cultivators in the sea god's harbor. Innate skill reward, the Great Navigator. The Great Navigator, controlling the course, predicting storms, and the host's favorite treasure, a series of innate skills. With this innate skill, you are the greatest navigator. Oh, innate skill navigator? Hearing the system's voice, Ning Tian's lips curled up into a smile. Not bad. The system knows me well. Then, he moved and appeared in front of the middle-aged cultivator. The cultivator was so frightened that he stumbled and fell to the ground. You don't have to be so scared. I am a good person. I never kill people. Ning Tian looked at him with a smile. The middle-aged cultivator didn't dare to say anything. He only glanced at the corpses of the people from the greater one sect not far away, and the corner of his mouth twitched. This is not killing people? Tell me, what treasure is there in the sea? Ning Tian looked at him indifferently. Senior Ning, the middle-aged cultivator trembled as he replied. It is said that a divine weapon of the sea demon race from tens of millions of years ago appeared in the peaceful ocean abyss. All of us are here for that divine artifact. However, this is only a rumor. There is no proof. A divine weapon of the sea demon race? Ning Tian raised his brows. Di Wuji should have known about this matter. However, this guy was very meticulous and didn't tell him anything that wasn't verified. If it was fake, he might have made a wasted trip. Okay, I understand. Ning Tian waved his hand casually. The middle-aged cultivator hurriedly ran away as if he had been pardoned. Wife, let's go. Ning Tian looked at the women and waved his hand lightly. The several hundred-meter-long void ship appeared in the void and descended toward the sea. Chapter 457. Boom. When the void ship landed on the surface of the sea, it immediately set off a wave. What a huge ship! Is this also a spirit commandeering ship? When they saw the void ship land on the surface of the sea, many cultivators were attracted to it. Their spirit commandeering ships were simply too small compared to this huge ship. Hubby, can the void ship be used in the sea? Seeing the void ship floating on the surface of the sea, Su Yueyao couldn't help but be curious. Haha, originally, it couldn't, but I modified it, and then used a little bit of spirit chi to envelop the entire ship. Ning Tian casually smiled and immediately called a group of people to board the ship. Using spirit chi to envelop the entire ship? A little bit of spirit chi? Hearing Ning Tian's words, the surrounding cultivators' mouths twitched violently. To float a ship that was a few hundred meters long on the endless ocean and still be able to move it, it not only required extremely high control of spirit chi, the most important thing was, it required an extremely large amount of spirit chi. Ning Buxu said that it was a little bit of spirit chi, but was it really not a little bit of spirit chi? However, to Ning Tian, it was indeed a little bit of spirit chi. It was just a strand of spirit chi in his spirit ocean. Look, Ning Buxu and the others are leaving. At this moment, someone exclaimed. All the cultivators in the sea god's harbor looked in that direction. Boom. They saw the void ship explode with energy, and then the huge ship began to move towards the endless ocean. Behind it, waves surged and crashed towards the sea god's harbor. It's really moving. What a huge wave, no. F***say. Amidst the exclamations, a huge wave drowned the entire sea god's harbor. At this moment, even if these cultivators wanted to use their spirit chi to block it, it was too late. In the next moment, everyone was drenched. F***sike, this Ning Buxu is trying to harm us. The group of people cursed. Looking at the void ship in the distance, their eyes shone brightly, and they hurriedly called for their subordinates. Let's go. Follow Ning Buxu and cling to this great god's thigh. Even if there aren't any big benefits, there will definitely be some small benefits. At this moment, the group of cultivators at Sea God's Harbor didn't care about getting wet. They boarded the spirit commandeering ship one by one and followed the huge battleship. On the void ship, roar, roar. Ever since the void ship had sailed toward the endless sea realm, the Lion King had been particularly excited. It kept roaring at Ning Tian, who was steering the ship. Sha Tian, weren't you unwilling to be a tool lion? Why are you taking the initiative this time? Ning Tian couldn't help but feel suspicious when he saw that something was clearly wrong with the Lion King. There must be something wrong with the lion's abnormal behavior. Roar, roar. The ceiling flame Lion King transformed and became as tall as a human. Then, it took out a straw hat from somewhere and put it on its head. The lion's mouth tilted as it snorted. Roar. Lion language. Master Lion is going to become the king of pirates. Ning Tian, where the hell did you get those lines from? And where did you get that straw hat? Hey. Hence, under the control of the lion who was determined to become the king of pirates, the void ship headed toward the deep sea. Behind the void ship, hundreds of spirit commandeers of different sizes followed from afar. These were all cultivators who wanted to follow Ning Buxu to get some treasures. However, Ning Tian didn't bother with them. After all, he had always been the one who cheated others. Soon, the void ship left Sea God's harbor and headed toward the depths of the endless sea realm. During this period of time, the group of cultivators following behind the void ship had already begun to doubt their lives. They looked at the smoke rising from the void ship, the sound of laughter, and the occasional wave of fragrance. This group of cultivators instantly seriously suspected that Ning Buxu wasn't here to look for treasures. Instead, he was here for King vacation. On the void ship, Sha Tian, be careful. Turn left in front. You must maintain the stability of the void ship. Something big might happen in front. Ning Tian held a grilled fish in his hand and lay on the chair with a satisfied expression as he spoke to the Lion King. Roar. The Lion King roared and promised to complete the mission. Captain, behind the void ship, the group of cultivators pricked up their ears and immediately prepared to do so. However, at this moment, they heard Ning Buxu's voice again. There's a large wave of fish beasts ahead. Prepare to capture them. The group of cultivators. Ning Buxu, you're King fooling us again. How many times have you done this? Fish beasts, fish beasts, fish beasts again. Angry. That's right. Every time Ning Tian gave an order on the void ship, they would listen attentively, thinking that there would definitely be treasures. However, this Ning Buxu was too much. He only wanted to capture fish beasts every time. Fish beasts were nothing compared to treasures. On the void ship, Ning Tian waved his hand, and spiritual energy flowed out and surged toward the seawater below. Then, a group of fish beasts with shining scales were all caught. After throwing away a few smaller fish beasts, Ning Tian's lips curled into a satisfied smile.
Haha.
Golden light fish. This fish's meat is delicious. It's very good. When the group of cultivators heard this, they were instantly filled with resentment. TSK, eat until you die. They glanced at the group of golden light fish with disdain. Weren't they just fish beasts? How many spirit coins could they be sold for? However, on the void ship, Ning Tian's voice became softer. He smiled and said to the girls, these are golden light fish. They have fish pearls in their bodies. The fish pearls can warm spiritual energy. This is good stuff. Along the way, he used his navigation talent to discover many fish beasts with treasures. Unfortunately, these cultivators didn't believe him. Look at how kind he was. He clearly told these cultivators that these fish beasts were good treasures, but they didn't believe him. They couldn't blame him for not telling them. It seems that I'm really a good person. Come, try this fish pearl. This should be a 100,000-year-old fish. As for this one, it's not much. It's a 90,000-year-old fish beast. Ning Tian looked at the fish pearls and distributed them to the girls. He said with a smile, Yueyao, you have to eat more. Why? Su Yueyao blinked. Well, these fish pearls can enrich the chest. Ning Tian said seriously. He glanced at Su Yueyao and Luo Wuqing's chest and said quietly, your chest hasn't reached the level of ruthlessness yet. Su Yueyao was silent for a moment. She rolled her eyes at Ning Tian and then wolfed down the food. Wife, do you want to eat some? Ning Tian looked at Luo Wuqing with a smile. No need. Luo Wuqing lowered his head to take a look. Then, he held his forehead and shook his head. At the side, Bai Lu hugged the death bell and lowered her head. She looked at her ordinary body with a puzzled expression. Chest, what is that? Chapter 458. Soon, when the group truly entered the Endless Sea realm, everyone clearly sensed a strange power enveloping the entire void battleship. We've finally entered the true Endless Sea. Ning Tian stretched his back and looked at the Endless Sea. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly. Then, he grabbed at the air around him and opened his hand. A wisp of black gas flowed out from his hand. It's indeed the aura of the rules. No wonder there are so many restrictions. Ning Tian murmured. Since there was the aura of the rules, could it be that there was also a life-forbidden zone in the Endless Sea realm? He frowned slightly and was a little puzzled. Then, he shook his head and said to the girls, forget it. Let's continue forward. Okay. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly. Then, she moved her hand slightly and waved it gently. The demigod power instantly enveloped the entire void ship. The power that made everyone feel uncomfortable also dissipated in an instant. These heaven and earth rules were not strong and did not have much effect on Ning Tian and the others. However, on the other hand, the group of cultivators following behind the void ship were in a miserable state. While they were resisting these forces, even the speed of the spirit commandeering ship had slowed down slightly. This way, they wouldn't be able to hear the words of Ning Tian's group on the void ship. Okay. Ning Tian opened the soundproof barrier and looked at Bai Lu, who was hugging the death bell quietly. He said, Bai Lu, can you tell me about the so-called reincarnation Tao God now? Reincarnation Tao God. He had always had doubts about this existence and his relationship with Bai Lu. However, when he asked Bai Lu, she kept her mouth shut and only said that she would answer when they reached the endless sea realm. Therefore, Ning Tian did not force her. Since they had reached the endless sea realm, it was time to answer his doubts. On the side, Bai Lu was silent. Then, she hugged the death bell and squatted in the corner to draw a few circles. Then, she carefully put away the small branch that Ning Tian gave her and walked over quietly to look at the people who were staring at her. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian narrowed his eyes slightly. To Bai Lu, drawing circles seemed to be a way to dispel depression and other negative emotions. Could it be that she also had unbearable memories of this reincarnation Dao God? Dao God reincarnation. Bai Lu hugged Death Bell and slowly said, "It was him who created me." He's your father? Ning Tian frowned. Bai Lu, the girl was silent for a moment. Then, she hugged the dead bell and hid in the corner. She drew a circle and cursed fellow Taoist Ning. You, Luo Wuqing gave Ning Tian a supercilious look. Don't bully Bai Lu. I didn't bully her. Ning Tian's face darkened. Hee, husband, I think what Bai Lu said should be that the reincarnation Dao God created the death bell, and she is the artifact spirit of the death bell. Therefore, she is equivalent to the creation of the reincarnation Dao God. Su Yueyao giggled. Ovo, Bai Lu hugged the death bell and hid behind Su Yueyao, nodding. I see, but I don't think there's anything wrong with my understanding. Ning Tian scratched his head and muttered, instantly causing the two girls to roll their eyes. Next, Bai Lu said a lot more about the reincarnation Dao God. However, according to her, she only knew a part of it. Perhaps, in the 2 million years in the black soil dead mountain, part of her memory seemed to have been sealed by someone. Broken burial dusk, buried gods and devils, buried close friends, buried relatives. Although the reincarnation body is not as powerful as the heavenly God body, it is still considered a powerful physique. After listening to Bai Lu's words, Ning Tian clicked his tongue and sighed. It seemed that this reincarnation Dao God was also a ruthless person. The stronger he was, the more Ning Tian looked forward to it. Because of this, he could obtain even more benefits. This trip was not in vain. However, according to what you said, the reincarnation Dao God has already fallen for tens of thousands of years. Bai Lu, why do you still want to look for him? Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu and frowned. To say thank you. There was no emotion in Bai Lu's eyes, only calmness. She hugged the death bell with a serious face. All right, I got it. Ning Tian nodded slightly and looked at Bai Lu. Don't worry, I will let you pass on this thank you. Ovo. Bai Lu hugged the death bell and nodded seriously. She said very seriously, since fellow Taoist Ning is so good, then I won't draw circles to curse you this time. The corner of Ning Tian's mouth twitched. So you are cursing me by drawing circles? Boom. At this moment, not far away in the sea, a roar sounded. Following that, hundreds of meters tall waves soared into the sky and slammed towards the surrounding cultivators. Soon, many of the cultivators' spirit commandeering ships flipped over. In the sea. There's something in the sea. Save me. Waves of screams sounded continuously. Soon, the sea was scarlet red. The sky above the sea suddenly darkened. Then, a gigantic shadow that was hundreds of meters tall soared into the sky. Its red eyes stared at everyone like a giant octopus. Its sharp tentacles flickered back and forth between the group of cultivators, splashing blood everywhere. It's a sea beast, life-taking sea witch. Seeing the sea beast soaring into the sky, many of the surrounding cultivators' expressions changed drastically. They circulated their spirit energy to resist. However, the sea was a natural battlefield for sea beasts. Those strange tentacles appeared and disappeared unpredictably. Every time they appeared, they would take away the lives of cultivators. It's actually a sea beast with 1,000,000 years of cultivation. On the void ship, looking at the life-taking sea which that caused monstrous waves in front of him, Ning Tian couldn't help but be a little surprised. After circulating his navigation talent and understanding the weakness of the sea beast, the corner of his mouth lifted slightly. He crossed his arms and muttered to himself while looking at the sea beast. This million-year-old sea beast. I can make a barbecued octopus foot for my wife, octopus meatballs for my concubine, and octopus yaki for Bailu. What do you think? Not far away, a group of cultivators who were struggling in the waves rolled their eyes when they heard this. Come on, this is a sea beast with 1,000,000 years of cultivation. Can't you respect it a little? Even if you're Ningbuksu, you can't insta-kill it. Just as the group of cultivators was about to go crazy, they suddenly heard the sound of a death bell. Then, accompanied by the sound of an ancient flute and a demigod emperor's aura, the ferocious sea beast collapsed with a bang. Boom. Its vitality dissipated instantly. An emperor-level sea beast is gone just like that? The group of cultivators widened their eyes and were dumbfounded. F***CK? It was really insta-killed? All right. Husband, it's settled. Luo Wuqing calmly retracted his aura and sat back on the void ship. Hee. Well done. You're in for a treat later. This is a million-year-old sea beast. I hope its meat isn't too old. Ning Tian chuckled. With 3 demigods attacking together, even a million-year-old sea beast would be insta-killed. Author's words. It's almost 1,000,000 words, and this is the first time I've written 1,000,000 words. Most importantly, I've maintained my results quite well. I'm very grateful to all of you. To be honest, now that I've written 1,000,000 words, I'm feeling a little lost. Sometimes, I'm afraid that if I don't write 1,000,000 words well, all my previous efforts will be in vain. I don't know how the plot has been recently. In short, I'm a little confused. After all, this is the first time I've written so many words. Chapter 459. After all, even if it had a cultivation of 1,000,000 years, it was only a sea beast. Although sea beasts could live for a long time, it didn't mean that they were extremely powerful. Even Di Wuji's dragon general was only a 3-tribulation great emperor, although the million-year-old sea shaman in front of him had the strength of a 2nd-tribulation great emperor. However, the result of 3 demigod realm experts attacking at the same time was obvious. When the vitality in the sea shaman's eyes dissipated, its huge body fell into the sea, but half of its body was still floating on the surface of the sea. Although the sea was shallow, it also had a lot to do with its huge body. Waves rose in the sea. The dark clouds in the sky dissipated at this time, and the sun shone down again. Except for the blood of many cultivators in the sea and the huge corpse of the sea beast, everything seemed to have returned to normal. This sea beast, it doesn't seem to be very strong. Ning Tian stood on the deck, looked at the sea shaman, and muttered to himself. When the cultivators heard this, their faces turned red with anger. Please, Ningbuksu, say something reasonable. Damn you! The sea beast is only equivalent to a 2nd-tribulation great emperor, and it hasn't even fully displayed its power. You didn't give it any chance and directly sent 3 demigod realm experts? 3 demigod realm experts, in the 9 regions except for the Life Forbidden Zone and some top forces, who can stop you? Damn it, that evil Ningbuksu. It's okay that he has a beautiful woman by his side, and all of them are demigod realm experts. It's ridiculous. Damn, is he the chosen one? Not far away, a group of cultivators who were lucky enough to survive were jealous. On the void ship, Ning Tian hummed a little tune and used his spiritual energy to lift the sea beast that was hundreds of meters long. Then, he took out the red cloud sword that he hadn't used for a long time and began to cut the huge sea beast. Now, with the increase of his strength, the red cloud sword had completely become an immortal artifact. Its appearance was no longer rusty. The sword was red as if it was burning bright red blood. At first glance, it was the best sword in the village. However, unfortunately, Ning Tian had too many tricks up his sleeves, so he never had the chance to use Crimson Firmament. Now that he finally had the chance, he could use it to cut the sea beast's meat. Okay, the Scarlet Heaven Sword is easy to use. It's perfect for cutting meat. Ning Tian operated his spirit chi and commanded the Scarlet Heaven Sword to unceasingly cut the huge sea beast's body. The sharp sword chi easily cut the thick flesh of the sea beast into pieces. Fuck. This Ning Buxu is using a low-grade immortal weapon to cut meat? Is there anything more ridiculous than this? Seeing this, the cultivators' mouths twitched. As expected of you, Ning Buxu. This sea beast is really big. It shouldn't be able to eat so much meat. After Ning Tian casually cut up a few portions, he glanced at the mountain of meat. This was a million-year-old meat. Not only was it delicious, but it also contained rich spiritual energy. It would be a pity to just throw it away. Wife. Ning Tian suddenly thought of something. He looked at Luo Wuqing and said, "Let me borrow your daybreak mirror." The daybreak mirror was the most precious treasure of the Tianma cult. Nothing could hide from the daybreak mirror, and it could also absorb everything. Luo Wuqing frowned slightly. She was a little confused, but she still flipped her hand slightly. A transparent mirror appeared in her hand. She handed it over and looked at Ning Tian in confusion. "Husband, what are you doing?" "Hee. You'll know in a moment." Ning Tian chuckled and took the daybreak mirror. He operated it and placed the mountain of sea beasts' meat into it. The daybreak mirror was an immortal weapon. Not only could it contain everything, but it also contained rich spiritual energy. It could definitely ensure that the meat would not go bad. It was much better than putting it in a storage ring. Ning Buxu is using a high-grade immortal weapon to store meat. There is something even more ridiculous. The group of cultivators felt a dull pain in their hearts. Were immortal weapons so worthless to Ning Buxu? Seeing Ning Tian use the most precious treasure of the Tianma cult to store the sea beast's meat, Luo Wuqing helplessly held her forehead. However, she did not stop him. She only said in her heart, "Ancestors of the Tianma cult, I can't do anything about my husband. So, I can only apologize to you." Everything was done. Ning Tian looked at the three women and smiled. "You can look forward to it. This million-year-old sea beast's meat is definitely delicious. Can this thing really be eaten?" Looking at the unprocessed sea beast's meat and its sticky appearance, Su Yueyao frowned slightly. She did not dare to agree with Ning Tian's words. "Don't worry. This thing might be able to enrich your mind. Yueyao, are you sure you don't want to eat it?" Ning Tian's eyes flashed with ridicule. Su Yueyao was silent for a moment. Then, she raised her head and looked at Ning Tian very seriously. "Hubby, please make more for me." She looked at Luo Wuqing. She really wanted to eat that chest. "Chest. I also want to have a big chest." On the side, Bai Lu was holding the death bell. When she heard this word again, she was suddenly curious. However, before she could finish speaking, Luo Wuqing covered her mouth. "Bai Lu, you can't have such thoughts. You will be led astray by this bad guy." Luo Wuqing said seriously to Bai Lu. Degree? Bai Lu was stunned for a moment. Then, she nodded seriously. "I will listen to the Empress. I didn't expect fellow Taoist Ning to want to harm me. I thought he was a good person." As she spoke, she took out the small branch Ning Tian gave her. Then, the situation became an uncontrollable cursing incident. Ning Tian spread his hands, indicating that he was used to it. Then, he began to process the sea beast meat. For a time, the void ship was filled with fragrance and laughter. However, 100 meters away, a group of cultivators was like a drowned rat. They desperately resisted the aura of the rules of the endless ocean while healing their injuries. Although they were only 100 meters away, it was like heaven on one side and hell on the other. The group of cultivators was extremely resentful. Good heavens! We are in a sorry state here, and Ning Buxu is playing a song? The most important thing was, after that guy cooked the meat, it had a unique fragrance. Even people like them who were fasting felt hungry. However, they could only smell it and not eat it. Now, they were cold and hungry. While resisting the rules of the endless ocean, they also had to be careful of the attacks of sea beasts and sea demons. On the void ship, on the deck. "Oh, hubby, isn't this too delicious?" Su Yueyao, who just felt that the sea beast meat was ugly, no longer cared about her ladle-like image and ate the meat in big mouthfuls. "Humph, Humph, that was made by your hubby. It was rare for Ning Tian to be a little proud. After all, it felt really good to be able to act cool in front of his wife. Chapter 460. At the side, Luo Wuqing and Bai Lu were eating slowly, but the happy expression on their faces was enough to prove that they approved of Ning Tian's culinary skills very much. Seeing that the three women were extremely satisfied, Ning Tian also revealed a smile.
Hiss.
My culinary skills are so good. Why don't I just change my profession and become a chef? He thought in his heart. System. Did I bind you to make you change your profession to become a chef? Haha. I'm kidding. Ning Tian laughed in his heart. The system is unbinding. Please wait. Ning Tian. The system snorted proudly. Humph. I'm kidding. Forget it. You'd better unbind yourself. After you come out of my head, I'll let my first wife dismantle you.
Cough, cough.
Host, let's chat later. This system will leave first. In his mind, the system began to play dead with a beep. Seeing this, Ning Tian's lips curled into a smug smile. Small fry, fighting with your host? After winning the small theater with the system, Ning Tian stretched and looked at Sha Tian, who was trembling and drooling, saying, Don't worry, Sha Tian, you will definitely have something to eat. With that, he took out a portion of sea beast meat and handed it to the Sealing Flame Lion King. Woohoo! The Sealing Flame Lion King shouted excitedly. Haha! Master Lion King is the first lion to eat a million-year-old sea beast. Next, it wolfed down the food. After a while, it licked its lips, looked at Ning Tian and roared a few times. Huh, you mean what part of the sea beast is this? Oh, this is the sea beast's brain. Didn't you say that you can replenish whatever you eat? Oh, Ning Tian said casually. Roar? The Sealing Flame Lion King's heart trembled and then waved its hand to comfort itself. Roar, lion language. How is this possible? Master Lion King is unparalleled in wisdom. How is this possible? However, before the Lion King could finish its sentence, the system's voice rang in Ning Tian's mind. You have shocked the Sealed Flame Lion King. The Sealed Flame Lion King's IQ has decreased by 1. Ning Tian, come on. With his IQ reduced, Sha Tian couldn't even speak lion language. Don't talk anymore. Eat some sea beast brains to nourish yourself. Ning Tian rolled his eyes at the Lion King. He then took out a few basins of sea beast brains for the Lion King to eat. After a few bites, the Lion King's intelligence returned. Roar. Master Lion was scared to death. Just now, she seemed to have heard Master Lion say, ba-ba-ba-ba. The Lion King's fur trembled, and it muttered to itself before it transformed back into a lion. Ning Tian smiled at Bai Lu when he saw them eating happily. He said kindly, Miss Bai Lu, what do you think of this meat? Is it delicious? Mm. Bai Lu nodded with a serious face. Due to the limitations of her body, she couldn't eat it directly. She could only turn the sea beast meat into energy and then eat it by absorbing it. It was the same with the tea last time. However, this didn't stop her from thinking that this sea beast meat was delicious. If it's so delicious, can you let me touch the death bell? Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu with a smile and said tentatively, Touch the death bell? Bai Lu was stunned for a moment. She put down the sea beast meat in her hand and then picked up the death bell with vigilance. She stared at Ning Tian. Fellow Taoist Ning, you really have bad intentions. Sister Empress is right. You are a bad person. Asterisk. Finished. This girl hugged the death bell and squatted in the corner. Needless to say, she must have drawn a circle to curse fellow Taoist Ning. Ning Tian. What the hell? Why did I become a bad person because of you? Didn't I just want to touch the death bell? Hee. Sui Weiyao giggled and put down the bowl and chopsticks. She wiped the corner of her mouth and looked at Ning Tian. Hubby, you really have bad intentions towards Bai Lu. You have to understand that the death bell is equivalent to Bai Lu's body. If you touch the death bell, it's equivalent to cough. Ning Tian coughed dryly. It's over. I forgot about this matter. Huh. My dear husband, do you have anything else to explain? Luo Wuqing smiled and narrowed his eyes, looking at Ning Tian with a kind face. Wife, you're laughing at me. Ning Tian squeezed out a dry smile. Rub? However, Luo Wuqing didn't give him any chance and directly gave him a punishment that Ning Tian was most familiar with. He reached out, grabbed the head, and pressed down. His movements were smooth and terrifying. Humph! Luo Wuqing snorted and suffocated this bad guy. Hee on the side, Su Yueyao, who was watching this scene, giggled. Her melodious voice sounded like a silver bell. Wuqing, you should use more force. That way, this old pervert will learn a lesson. As expected of his concubine, she tried her best to help him take advantage of her. Ning Tian secretly gave her a thumbs up, but he still struggled to raise his head from Luo Wuqing's arms and said seriously, I have to clarify, I'm not an old pervert. I'm not old. Grandmaster is forever 18 years old. 18, my ass. However, before he could finish his sentence, he was pulled back by Luo Wuqing and pressed down on him. Great. The punishment of the Luo family that hadn't been seen for a long time. Not far away, Ning Tian's painful screams could be heard from the void ship. A group of cultivators rejoiced in his misfortune. Hee, Ning Buxu, you've finally received your punishment. Unfortunately, they didn't know that this punishment was very gentle. Several hours later, the void ship had entered the silent ocean abyss of the endless sea area. According to Bai Lu, after sailing past the silent ocean abyss, they would arrive near the place where Tao God reincarnation was buried. Well, it's time to get up. Ning Tian got up from Su Yueyao's lap pillow and stretched lazily. He looked at the group of cultivators behind him and frowned. These guys are still following me. They're really persistent. Next, they were going to get down to business. He couldn't let these guys follow him. Do you need me to deal with them? On the side, Luo Wuqing's cold voice sounded. No need. Ning Tian smiled. Grandmaster is a good person. How can he kill people? Then he went to the stern of the ship and looked at the group of cultivators. His hearty voice sounded, Everyone, that's enough. Go back. By the way, a friendly reminder, don't sail in the southwest direction. There will be a murderous sea storm soon. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Tian snapped his fingers, and the void ship's kinetic energy increased rapidly. Soon, it was far away from everyone's sight. Huh. Damn. Ning Buxu left just like that? The group of cultivators stood rooted to the ground, dumbfounded. They didn't get any benefits at all. What should we do now? Some cultivators were puzzled. Humph. Ning Buxu must have gone to the place he mentioned just now to scare us. There must be treasures there. If we go now, we might be able to get something to recoup our losses. Let's go. An old cultivator analyzed Ning Buxu's words and snorted. How could Ning Buxu deceive them? What a joke. Dozens of minutes later, as Ning Buxu said, a murderous sea storm arose in the southwest sea area. Well, Ning Buxu had never cheated others. However, someone was trying to cheat him. Author's words, I've updated 2 chapters. There's one more. If it's not out by 7 in the morning, there's no need to wait. You won't be able to stay up and go to sleep. What do you think of this plot? Finally, I'm asking for money. Chapter 461. Endless Sea Region, Quiet Ocean Abyss. The sea was calm, and the surroundings were quiet. A huge ship slowly sailed into it. Except for a ripple, it didn't break the peace here. The surroundings, everything was quiet and scary. Husband, we've entered the quiet ocean abyss. On the deck, Luo Wuqing sensed the surroundings with her spirit chi and frowned slightly. When we reach the quiet ocean abyss, the surrounding laws of heaven and earth are even richer. The range of spirit chi perception is only 1 kilometer. And this place has become different. Ning Tian nodded slightly while a wisp of a solemn expression flashed through his eyes. If the ocean was said to be relatively calm just now, then the current peaceful oceanic abyss was like a surging undercurrent. Beneath the calm was boundless killing intent. Pay attention. Ning Tian turned around and looked at the girls. Got it. Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao both nodded heavily. Even Bai Lu stopped drawing circles. Instead, He held Death Bell and floated quietly to the side. Sha Tian, maintain the current speed and continue to move towards the quiet ocean abyss. Roar. On the deck, a lion's roar came. Soon, the void ship had completely entered the quiet ocean abyss. On the surface of the sea, it was unknown when it began to fill the air. Their line of sight was almost completely blocked. Looking from afar, they could only see a pale white sea fog. Sea fog? Ning Tian frowned. At this time, in the sea fog, there seemed to be a woman's voice. The voice was mellow as if narrating a sad story. Accompanied by the voice, the sea fog in the sky dissipated by half. The entire sea dimmed, and there seemed to be a bright moon shining in the sea fog. Bright moon? Sui Weiyao frowned slightly and looked at the bright moon in confusion. I remember when we just entered the quiet ocean abyss, it should still be daytime. How can time pass so quickly? Could it be? This is an illusion? Is it related to this strange song? Hearing this, the few people on the void ship had a dignified look. Could it be? Is it the Sea Demon Clan's doing? No. At this time, Ning Tian pondered for a long time. He operated the laws in his eyes and looked at the bright moon in the sky. This is not an illusion, but a real bright moon. Silent song, bright moon rising sea. Silent song, bright moon rising sea? Hearing Ning Tian's words, the girls were stunned, and Ning Tian nodded slightly, but did not explain. Instead, she walked towards Luo Wuqing and gently touched her hair. Then, she raised her hand slightly. Her hands seemed to be wet, and there was a bit of mist. Mist? Luo Wuqing's beautiful eyes flashed with doubt. She frowned slightly. That's strange. With my strength, it's impossible for the sea fog to stay on my body, because of time. A cold glint flashed in his eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. I didn't expect to encounter the time law in the endless sea realm. Time laws?
The girls were stunned.
And because of the heavenly god body, I can sense the laws very clearly. This time law is only mobilized for a few hours. A few hours doesn't affect cultivators at our level, so you can't sense it. But through small details like the sea fog, I can still see that time passes in an instant. Ning Tian said slowly, a glimmer of light flashing in his eyes. He didn't expect to encounter the time law here. It seemed that he and the time law were destined to meet. Let's go, Sha Tian. Let's go into the sea fog. I want to see which sea demon clan can control the time law. Ning Tian instructed the flame-sealing Lion King. This sea demon's control of the time law wasn't strong. It could only mobilize a small part of time, but it still mastered it. Roar. Flame-sealing Lion Monarch roared and steered the void ship toward the thick sea mist. In front of them, in the sea fog, the song was getting closer and closer. Honey, look over there. There's a figure on the reef. At this moment, Sui Weiyao seemed to have seen something. She pointed ahead and hurriedly said to Ning Tian, a figure? The people on the void ship looked over. When the void ship got closer, they did see a figure, and they saw it clearly. It was a slender woman. She was half sitting on the reef. Her proud upper body was completely covered in clothes made of scales, and even a trace of white tenderness was exposed. In her hand was a conch. It was the melodious song that came from the conch. After a long time, the melodious singing came to an abrupt end. Fellow cultivators, my singing isn't bad, right? The woman gently stroked the conch in her hand and looked up at the people on the void ship. She didn't seem surprised by their arrival at all. The moment she looked up, her almond-shaped eyes sparkled. Her beauty was stunning. Although her appearance couldn't compare to the three women on the void ship, she was still devastatingly beautiful. Coupled with her perfect figure, she was simply a stunner. She was quite good. Ning Tian nodded slightly as she sized up the woman with an unbridled gaze. Am I beautiful? The woman sitting on the reef gently pulled open the scales, revealing half of her tenderness. She had a charming smile on her face. Quite beautiful. Ning Tian nodded. Thank you for your praise. The woman smiled. She glanced at the women on the void ship, and a hint of greed appeared in her eyes. No. Ning Tian shook his head and said indifferently, I'm not complimenting you. The skin on your body should be from a human cultivator, right? Also, the song in the conch was probably extracted from a living person into the conch. The sea charm mermaid clan of the sea demons? You, how did you know? The woman sitting on the reef below suddenly changed her expression. She was shocked, as if she didn't expect this person to be able to see through her origin with a single glance. You've shocked the sea charm mermaid clan. Acquired skill, deep dive. Combat ability in the sea increased by 50%. The system's voice sounded in his mind. It also announced that the sea was not the main battlefield of the sea beasts. You don't need to know. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth curled into a kind smile. A wisp of spiritual energy transformed into a giant palm that grabbed towards the woman on the reef. Young miss from the Sea Charm Mermaid clan. Why don't we have a chat? How do you know the laws of time? Boom. The spiritual energy turned into a giant palm and stirred up 3,000 waves. It rushed toward the woman continuously. The law of time? Who exactly are you? The woman's expression changed slightly. Then, she waved her jade-like hand, and a series of rumbling sounds came from the abyss. The seawater became extremely violent, and huge creatures soared into the sky with monstrous waves. At a glance, they were all sea beasts. There were more than 100 of them. Even the huge void ship seemed small when surrounded by more than 100 sea beasts. Looks like I'll have to waste some time to deal with these sea beasts, Ning Tian murmured. Behind him, the spiritual energy on the three women's bodies quietly flowed out. Roar. The sea beasts had already attacked. I need banknotes. Chapter 462. Boom. The surface of the sea was no longer calm. Waves that were dozens of meters high surged. The roars of the sea beasts could be heard from the surging spiritual energy. Even the void ship was affected. Sha Tian, you stabilize the void ship. Leave the rest to us. Ning Tian looked at the flame-sealing Lion King who was steering the ship. He didn't need the little lions to do anything. He just needed to stabilize the void ship. Roar. The flame-sealing Lion King nodded heavily. His figure suddenly changed again. Golden red light circulated all over his body. Leave it to Master Lion. The sky darkened. All the sea fog came from the sky. Countless red eyes flickered in the surroundings. Even the bright moon in the sky was blocked by the huge figures of the sea beasts. The strange aura in the surroundings circulated even more fiercely. Go. Crush all these human cultivators. At this moment, the sea demon girl didn't dare to hesitate. The conch in her hand flickered. She directly ordered the hundreds of sea beasts around to attack the void ship. Roar, roar, roar. The sea beasts kept roaring. Although this group of sea beasts was strong, they didn't seem to be very intelligent. Conch? When the conch in the sea demon girl's hand flickered and the surrounding sea beasts rioted, Ning Tian withdrew his gaze. His eyes flashed with a thoughtful light. However, the most important thing now was to deal with all the sea beasts in front of him. Let's do it. Looking at the hundreds of ferocious sea beasts around him, Ning Tian's expression remained calm. He said softly to Luo Wuqing and the other women. Okay. The women nodded slightly. There are hundreds of sea beasts. Even the weakest one is equivalent to a first tribulation great emperor. It's not that easy to deal with them. The sea demon girl snorted coldly. She gently stroked the conch in her hand. Her eyes fell on Luo Wuqing and the other women. Her eyes were full of greed. The skin of 3 beautiful women was enough for her to take turns for a long time. Is that so? Luo Wuqing's mouth curved into a smile. She took a step forward and gently raised her hand. She pressed down on a group of sea beasts that were charging at her. Boom. In an instant, the emperor's might carried the might of a demigod, stirring up 3,000 layers of waves and crashing down heavily. Roar. The armor-like skin of the sea beast at the very front was instantly shattered, causing cracks to appear on its skin. Blood continuously spurted out from the cracks, dyeing the surface of the sea red. Demigod expert? The sea demon maiden's expression changed, and her eyes were filled with uncertainty. She muttered to herself, if it's a demigod, then my sea beast should be able to. Before he could finish his sentence, he saw, on the surface of the sea, the aura shook violently. Then, she saw Suiyao and Bai Lu attack as well. Roar. Along with the sea beast's painful cry, the siren's daughter was awakened from her daze. Three demigod experts? She was a little confused. Since when did demigod realm experts leave so casually? Furthermore, 3 venerable ones at once? Could it be, were they also here for the ruins? The sea monster's daughter was startled, but at this moment, she heard the young man's hearty laughter. Wife, don't be so violent. That piece of meat should be good for barbecue. Little wife, I don't want that piece of meat. It doesn't look delicious. Bai Lu, what's that move of yours? You're drawing circles. Will it cause any damage? Hearing these words, the siren's daughter was stunned for a moment. Then, her heart instantly went crazy. This guy actually treated these sea beasts as food? These sea beasts were comparable to great emperor-level experts. Damn it! The siren's daughter clenched her teeth. The sea beasts around her were completely one-sided. Those women could easily crush the sea beasts she had summoned with a wave of their hands. It was as easy as blowing off dust. Shameless! You only dare to hide behind women. What kind of ability is that? Looking at Ning Tian, who was talking and laughing on the void ship, the siren's daughter's eyes were filled with anger. She gritted her teeth and said angrily, "Oh?" The corner of Ning Tian's mouth curved up. He looked at the siren's daughter with a smile. They are my women. Being able to make them my women is a kind of ability. The siren's daughter was silent. She clenched her teeth. Thinking about it carefully, what he said didn't seem to be a problem. Her ancestor forced himself to live off women? Bai Lu silently raised his hand. I'm not, Carrot. You shameless. The siren's daughter clenched her teeth and glared at Ning Tian. Thank you for the compliment, Ning Tian said with a smile. The siren's daughter? This human cultivator is very handsome. But isn't he a little too shameless? If you don't like me, continue to summon more sea beasts and kill me. Ning Tian smirked. You. The siren's daughter looked around. Almost all the sea beasts were killed. Her eyes flashed with anger. The conch in her hand flashed with a cold light. Then, she gently patted it. A strange sound was heard. Boom, boom. In an instant, the entire sea began to shake again. The scarlet seawater surged with monstrous waves. In the bottomless sea abyss, several giant figures emerged. Humph, I was saving this for the divine artifact key. But now, I'll use it to deal with you. The siren's daughter snorted. The aura coming from the depths of the sea abyss was close to that of a demigod. Although it was not as strong as a demigod, it was still strong enough to fight against a demigod in the sea. Divine artifact key? Ning Tian's eyes flashed. The smirk on his face disappeared instantly. The corners of his mouth curled up and he became serious. However, I was waiting for you to summon the sea beasts. Huh. The siren's daughter was stunned. At this moment, a guzheng appeared in Ning Tian's hand. The immortal slashing guzheng floated in front of him. He smiled. The waves were too big just now. I didn't hear your Tao of music clearly. Now, I finally heard it clearly. What? You tricked me, you tramp? The siren's daughter panicked at first, but she quickly regained her composure. So what if you know that I'm using the Tao of music to control the sea beasts? How can a human like you control my race's Tao of music? What's more, the Tao of music just now happened in the blink of an eye. It's impossible for you to control it. I'm sorry. What you think is impossible in my eyes. Ning Tian's lips curled up into a confident smile. At this moment, his fingers landed on the immortal slashing guzheng. Tao of music, activate. Zheng. In the next moment, a sound wave that the siren's daughter was very familiar with spread out. Roar. The giant figures in the depths of the sea abyss suddenly stopped. Sea beasts are just beasts after all. Ning Tian chuckled. His fingers plucked the strings of the guzheng and instantly put it down. Zheng. At this moment, the siren's daughter clearly felt that the line she used to control the sea beasts was cut off.
Wife, take her down.
Ning Tian looked at the siren's daughter indifferently. Luo Wuqing's figure moved. He took a step forward and directly arrived in front of the siren's daughter. Chapter 463. What do you want to do? The siren's daughter, who was sitting on the reef, trembled when she saw Luo Wuqing appear in front of her. That terrifying aura almost made her unable to breathe. This kind of pressure, this kind of coldness, it was even colder than the deepest part of the quiet oceanic abyss. Shut up. Luo Wuqing's expression was indifferent. He grabbed the siren lady and returned to the void ship in a flash. He threw her heavily on the deck without any pity. Tisk tisk. The ancients didn't lie. The mermaid clan really exists in this world. Ning Tian looked at the siren lady who was thrown on the ground. In addition to her proud upper body, her lower body was extremely attractive. Her shimmering fishtail was constantly slapping the deck. The siren lady stared at them, not daring to say a word. Without the sea beasts, she was merely a 6-star divine emperor. It would be a piece of cake for the few people present to kill her. Tell me, the law of time and the so-called divine tool key.
Ning Tian looked at the siren lady indifferently and asked.
The siren lady was silent, but she knew that even if she didn't say anything, Ning Tian would find a way to find out. She couldn't see through this man, but she understood a lot from the way he played the music Dao. Nonsense won't save her, so she might as well tell him the truth. The law of time was found in a relic in the deepest part of the quiet oceanic abyss. Just a trace of the heavenly Dao was leaked, and many of our siren clansmen have mastered it. The siren lady said slowly. When we wanted to go deeper into the relic, we found that there was a seal on the relic. The only thing that could unlock the seal was the most precious treasure of the siren clan. We called it the divine tool key. So, we didn't hesitate to alarm the sea beasts to find the divine tool key and open the relic. Hearing this, Ning Tian's eyes flashed as if he thought of something. If what the siren said was true, and a trace of the laws of heaven leaked out from the ruins could allow her to master the laws of time, then the ruins were indeed terrifying. Fellow Taoist, you see, I've already said what I wanted to say. Can you spare my life? The siren's daughter looked at Ning Tian. Ning Tian gave him a look that said, You must be dreaming. Perhaps. I am willing to serve you, fellow Taoist. Fellow Taoist, you have not tasted the taste of the mermaid clan, right? Slurp, the siren lady lifted one of her slender fingers and placed it between her red lips. Then, she gently pulled open the scales in front of her body, and her dazzling white skin broke free. It even swayed a little. The taste of mermaids? Ning Tian rubbed his chin and thought about it seriously. He looked at the siren's daughter and said, You mean, should we braise or steam? The siren's daughter was stunned for a moment. Then, she rolled her eyes at Ning Tian in a flirtatious manner. Of course, it's the pleasure between men and women, bang. Before she finished speaking, a cold demigod emperor's aura landed on her body. Suddenly, the vitality in her eyes dissipated. Humph! Luo Wuqing snorted coldly. Bang! Bang! At this moment, another 2 demigods' aura whipped the corpse. Don't ask why there were 2. It was because Miss Bai Lu had to follow the big team closely. Sigh, you're alive and well. Why do you want to seduce me? Ning Tian spread his hands and casually cleaned up the deck. Then, he looked at Bai Lu. Bai Lu, could the relic she mentioned be the relic of the reincarnation Tao God? Perhaps. Bai Lu hugged the death bell and pondered for a while. Then, she nodded. In other words, reincarnation is actually a kind of time law. The two should be related. Perhaps the relic discovered by the Siren clan is the relic of the Tao God. Is that so? Ning Tian frowned slightly and murmured, It seems that we have to hurry up. Let's go. Ning Tian stretched. According to the Siren clan's daughter, the relic was in the deepest part of the quiet ocean abyss. Then, What they had to do now was to go to the bottom of the sea. They could not continue to stay on the void ship. And Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao nodded slightly. However, Bai Lu and the Lion King were stunned on the deck, unwilling to go into the water. And what's wrong with the two of you? Ning Tian frowned. Ao, Ao. The fire-sealing Lion King roared a few times with a righteous look. It roared a few times in lion language. You guys go. I'll stay behind to guard the void ship. What if a thief steals the void ship? It's okay. I can take it back. Ning Tian said silently. Roar. Hearing this, the Lion King panicked. It quickly told the truth. Roar. All right, Master Lion, I don't know how to swim. Then you will stay on the void ship. What about you, Bai Lu? Ning Tian nodded slightly, looked at Bai Lu, and asked. Bai Lu was silent for a moment, ignoring Ning Tian. Her gaze lingered on Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao for a moment and murmured. It seems that Taoist Ning is more afraid of Big Sister Empress? She seemed to have made up her mind, and then floated in front of Luo Wuqing, and handed the death bell in her arms to Luo Wuqing with a dignified expression. Big Sister Empress, I will give myself to you. The seawater in the quiet ocean abyss is too cold. My artifact spirit body can't withstand it for too long. Finished. Bai Lu silently returned to the death bell. Don't worry, I won't let this bad guy get close to you. Luo Wuqing rolled his eyes at Ning Tian and kept the death bell. Upon seeing this scene, Ning Tian rubbed his nose. Strange. I'm so kind. Why is Miss Bai Lu so afraid of me? I won't do anything to her. It's really strange. All right, Wuqing Yueyao, let's go, Ning Tian said. Before jumping into the sea, he ordered the sea beasts under his temporary control to dive into the sea and wait for his orders. Then, he took the lead and jumped into the cold sea. Seeing this, the two women followed and jumped into the sea. In the sea, 3 figures fell, causing a splash. The cold sea water instantly soaked their clothes, and the two women's perfect figures were instantly outlined. It was quite a wet temptation, but soon, with the circulation of spirit energy, the spirit energy around them surged, isolating them from the seawater and drying their clothes. Let's dive, Ning Tian said to the two women, and then his figure moved, rushing into the cold sea water. The two women also followed closely. The sea surface seemed to have returned to its previous calm. Only a small lion was left, wearing a straw hat and shivering. In the endless dark sea, 3 figures continued to dive. The deeper they went, the darker the light became. But fortunately, their cultivation was not bad. Even if they lost their sight, they could still rely on their perception. Author's words. There is one more update. Isn't today Saturday? Why do I feel that there are so few people? The comments and banknotes don't seem to have changed much. I wrote it wrong. Chapter 464. On top of a ruin. Gurgle gurgle. Ning Tian finally spat out half of the seawater in his stomach. He had to admit that the seawater of the endless sea realm had a hint of sweetness to it. It was ridiculous. Honey, can't we be slower next time? Ning Tian couldn't help but complain. Yueyao and I used our spiritual energy to protect you the entire time. At most, you drank a little seawater. Luo Wuqing rolled her eyes at Ning Tian. Then, she released Ning Tian's arms from her embrace. Under her ice-cold face, there was a trace of redness. Although this guy suffered a little, but his hands weren't idle all along the way. He had already taken all the advantages that he could take. A demigod is indeed strong. Ning Tian shook her sore hands and muttered to herself, It's just that I don't see them being this strong during normal battles. They're begging for mercy after just a few moves. Whoosh. As soon as he said this, Luo Wuqing glared at Ning Tian with shame and indignation. These two battles couldn't be compared at all, okay? Haha, honey, since you said so, I won't be polite next time. Su Yueyao licked her red lips and looked at Ning Tian provocatively. It seemed that she was going to clear the name of demigod realm experts. Then I'll wait and see. Ning Tian spread his hands, expressing his anticipation. Luo Wuqing helplessly held her forehead. She couldn't do anything about these two old perverts, because she knew that once these two started fighting, even if she wanted to hide, she wouldn't be able to. She would definitely be dragged into the battle and be affected. By the way, we should be at the bottom of the peaceful oceanic abyss right now, right? Back to the topic, Ning Tian looked around. Except for the ruins under their feet, there were magnificent buildings all around. This made Ning Tian very suspicious. Why did these experts of the Sea Demon clan like to put ruins in the middle? Could it be ruins were their totems? Strange. Didn't the Siren's daughter say that the experts of the Siren clan would gather here and use the key to open the ruins? Why can't I see a single Sea Demon tribe expert? Could it be that they sensed our presence and slipped away first? Ning Tian frowned, somewhat puzzled. But honey, your landing spot was really accurate. We just happened to land in the territory of the Sea Demon tribe. Moreover, we were extremely fast. I only drank half the seawater in my stomach before we landed. He looked at Luo Wuqing. With two demigods unleashing their full power, it's naturally very fast. Luo Wuqing said lightly. Then, he rolled his eyes at Ning Tian. What? Do you want to drink more seawater? Ah. How is this possible? Ning Tian gave a hollow laugh. He was about to look around, but at this time, many auras appeared around him. His eyes turned cold and he curled his lips. It seems that the sea monster tribe still has some shrimp soldiers and crab generals to deal with. Boom, boom, boom. Around them, the sound of flowing water was heard. Figures of the Sea Demon tribe swept in all directions and surrounded Ning Tian and the other two. These Sea Demons' eyes were all red. They looked at Ning Tian and the others as if they had a deep hatred for them. Do these Sea Demons have a hobby of hating humans? Why are they staring at us so fiercely? Ning Tian frowned slightly. I don't know. Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao both shrugged. Crunch, crunch. The group of Siren clansmen glared at Ning Tian and the others as they gnashed their teeth in anger. They felt like they were going crazy. If it weren't for the righteousness that descended from the heavens and smashed all the experts of the Siren clan to death, would they have such a deep hatred? Go. Eat them alive. Avenge our Siren clan's experts. A group of Sea Demon tribe experts clamored. They channeled their spirit chi and rushed toward Ning Tian and the others. Huh. What the hell? Avenge? I'm a good person. I've never killed anyone. Ning Tian spread his hands and expressed his innocence. Also, is this all the Sea Demon tribe has? Aren't they too weak? F***CK. Shameless human cultivator. A group of Sea Demons immediately cursed. You didn't kill anyone? Then what's the matter with the ruins under your feet and the Sea Demon corpses everywhere? And why are there so few people in our Sea Demon tribe? Don't you have any idea? Just now, the Sea King's group of Sea Demon clan powerhouses had at least the strength of a great emperor. But they would never have thought that when they were praying to the sea god's trident happened to coincide with the energy fluctuations of Ning Tian and the others falling. They didn't have any time to react at all. Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao were falling at full speed, which was equivalent to the full blow of a demigod realm expert. And it was the full blow of two demigod realm experts. Even if they were prepared, they wouldn't be able to escape, not to mention that they didn't have time to prepare. So, due to a freak combination of factors, they died under the justice of heaven. They were probably the Sea Demon tribe experts who died the most unjustly. Sigh. This group of people always wrongly accuse me. I'm so kind. Do I look like someone who would kill? Ning Tian sighed without any self-awareness. Then, he raised his hand and a black light flashed in his eyes. The law of death was instantly displayed at this moment. Boom. In an instant, the law flowed out. The group of Sea Demon tribe experts who rushed over suddenly lost their color in their eyes. Then, they froze on the spot. There was no expression on their faces. It was as if time had stopped. But it wasn't a standstill. Their lives had been taken away. So weak. Ning Tian clapped his hands. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. No, I can't kill them so quickly, he murmured. Vitality surged in his hand. With a gentle wave, the vitality in the eyes of the group of sea demon tribe experts who had just died recovered. They were stunned on the spot. Huh, what just happened? This was the law technique that belonged to Ning Tian, judgment of life and death. I would like to ask, where is the key to the divine weapon? Ning Tian asked with a smile. It's in your... Ning Tian waved his hand and they died again. Forget it. I'd better ask clearly. Vitality emerged. The key to the divine weapon. It's in your... God. It's in... Hence. The group of sea demon tribe members died and came back to life. However, the most important thing was that they didn't know whether they were dead or alive. They only felt that their bodies were getting more and more tired. It was as if they had lost some kind of energy. I'll ask again. Where is the key to the divine weapon? If you don't tell me this time, you will really die. Ning Tian's lips curled into a dangerous arc. The group of sea demon tribe experts panted. Obviously, they were weak. What was this? Damn it. Didn't you just ask once? Indeed. As far as they knew, Ning Tian had only asked this question once. It's in. Just as the group of sea demon tribe members were about to answer Ning Tian's question seriously, Su Yueyao's voice sounded from the side. Hubby, stop fooling around. I seem to have found the key to the divine weapon. Oh. Ning Tian responded and waved his hand. The group of sea demon tribe experts' eyes turned completely gray. Damn it. At this moment, they were finally dead. Chapter 465. Little wife, did you find the divine artifact key? Hearing Su Yueyao's words, Ning Tian raised his eyebrows slightly. He quickly walked over the ruins and came to Su Yueyao's side. At this moment, Su Yueyao was holding the sea god's trident in her hand. The trident was emitting bursts of white light. From the looks of it, it should be the sea demon tribe's supreme treasure. Ning Tian looked over and frowned slightly. He said with some doubt, but it's already in this state. Is it still a divine artifact? It's a divine artifact. Luo Wuqing looked at the rusty sea god's trident and said indifferently, it just lost its divinity. Husband, don't you know the art of forging? If you have enough materials, you can try to restore its divinity. Haha, wife, you know me best. This sea god's trident seems to be fated with me. I will give it a try. Ning Tian smiled. But, Yueyao, where did you find it? Could it be that the sea god's trident only appeared after a series of seals were broken? He looked at Su Yueyao with some doubt. Su Yueyao shook her head slightly and pointed to the ground. I picked it up from the ground. Moreover, there are many corpses of sea demon tribe experts on the ground. TSK, their deaths are really tragic. Could it be that these sea demon experts killed each other for the divine artifact key? Sigh, it's not good to fight and kill. It's good for us. Moreover, this sea god's trident seems to have attached some kind of energy to it. It's really good. These sea demon experts are really good people, Ning Tian said with a smile. In the end, the sea demon tribe slaves were taken advantage of by them. They were really good people. Ning Tian took the sea god's trident from Su Yueyao and then looked at Luo Wuqing and said, Wife, let Bai Lu out. We need this girl to lead the way. Okay. Luo Wuqing nodded and waved her jade-like hand. The death bell appeared in her arms and a white figure appeared. Miss Bai Lu floated out. She stretched herself. Wow, have we reached the bottom of the sea? Bai Lu looked around. Miss Bai Lu, you couldn't have slept, right? Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu, who looked like he had just woken up. He couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. I drank half of the seawater here, and you're actually sleeping. I'm not sleeping. I'm replenishing my soul power ovo. Bai Lu explained with a serious expression. Oh, I get it. You were sleeping, Ning Tian said. Bai Lu was speechless. Then, she ignored Ning Tian and took the death bell from Luo Wuqing's hands. Then, she carefully hugged the death bell and sniffed it with her little nose. When she found that there was no smell of a certain person, she was relieved. Seeing this scene, Su Yueyao giggled and teased Ning Tian, honey. It seems that fellow Taoist Ning is really a bad guy in front of Bai Lu. Ning Tian's old face darkened. Nonsense, I'm obviously a good person. Okay, Bai Lu, we got the divine artifact key. Can you sense the secret realm of Tao God reincarnation? After a weak explanation, Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu and decisively changed the topic. I'll try, Bai Lu said and then narrowed her eyes slightly. Her white dress fluttered with the seawater, and the faint soul power spread out. At this moment, their eyes fell on Bai Lu. There was a certain connection between Bai Lu and Tao God reincarnation. It was more convenient for her to sense it than the others. After a while, found it. Bai Lu hugged the death bell and opened her eyes. There was a trace of excitement in her originally indifferent tone. This kind of excitement was like a little girl finding her long-lost family. Where is it? Take us there. The three of them looked at Bai Lu. Yes. Follow me, Bai Lu said, then carried the death bell and floated to the side of the sea. Ning Tian and Wu Qingyueyao hurriedly followed. In the quiet sea, a white figure quietly swam with the seawater. Ning Tian and the others followed behind. They were now out of the sea demon tribe's territory. This sea was even darker and quieter. Fortunately, Ning Tian was quick-witted. When he just left the sea demon tribe's territory, he took away all their luminous pearls used for illumination. Now it came in handy. Every time he walked a distance, he would throw down a luminous pearl, and the dark sea would be illuminated. Husband, look below. Luo Wuqing swam beside Ning Tian. She looked down and said. Ning Tian looked down. The seawater should have been pitch black, but because of the luminous pearls he threw in, he could already see the scenery below clearly. There were strange statues standing in the seawater, and their faces were filled with fear, shock, and all kinds of negative emotions. This is? Seeing this scene, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with a hint of doubt. These sea demon tribe statues seemed to have seen a terrifying creature. Could it be that they were petrified before they died? Ning Tian frowned. It should be. It's almost impossible for a statue to make such an expression. Luo Wuqing nodded and analyzed. These statues should have existed for more than 2 million years. On the side, Sui Weiyao approached the stone statues and touched them slightly. Soon, she had a guess. Husband, come here. She hooked her finger at Ning Tian. Use your heavenly god body to sense it. Is there any law of heaven and earth on these stone statues? Ning Tian swam over and sensed it slightly. His eyebrows twitched inadvertently. Yes, it's the law of time. Ning Tian pondered for a while and said, Sure enough. Sui Weiyao smiled. Husband, do you remember that Bai Lu entered the Black Death Mountain 2 million years ago? I think that should be the time when she and reincarnation Tao God separated. These sea demon tribe experts have been turned into stone statues for 2 million years. Moreover, there's the law of time. What do you think? This is the masterpiece of reincarnation Tao God. Ning Tian quickly understood. A glint flashed in his eyes as he looked around. At the bottom of the sea, countless sea demon statues, all of them were made by reincarnation Tao God. I really don't know what happened at that time. Found it. At this moment, Bai Lu's exclamation came from not far away. Let's go. Seeing this, Ning Tian and the other two immediately swam toward Bai Lu. Soon, Bai Lu stopped in a dark place. Even if there was a luminous pearl here, it would be difficult to illuminate this place. Bai Lu, have you found the secret realm of reincarnation Tao God? Ning Tian held the sea god's trident in his hand and looked at Bai Lu. Bai Lu nodded. Where is it? The three asked in unison. It's under our feet. Chapter 466. At this moment, the stone door opened, but there was no seawater pouring in. It was rather strange. Yes. Hearing Ning Tian's words, Bai Lu hugged the death bell and nodded slightly. Her eyes flickered as she looked at the stone door, as if she had made up her mind. She hugged the death bell even more tightly. Let's go. Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu and smiled. Maybe the reincarnation Tao God is inside, waiting for you to go over. Yes, Ovo. Bai Lu nodded heavily. Then, she took a deep breath. Her barren chest rose and fell slightly. She hugged the death bell and stepped into the stone door. Then I should go in too. Ning Tian looked behind him. The seawater surged, and the several hundred-meter-long sea beasts were already attacking the stone door. But at the same time, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao's demigod aura erupted. Wife, remember to leave me a few pieces of good meat. After I come out of the Tao God mausoleum, I will reward you. Ning Tian chuckled and said to the two women. Then, he moved and entered the stone door with a burst of water. He was confident in the two women. A few hundred-meter-long sea beasts couldn't do anything to them. Outside the stone door, waves of demigod aura erupted. The seawater fluctuated, and soon, waves of sea beasts screamed. Inside the stone door, accompanied by a burst of dazzling white light, Ning Tian subconsciously covered his eyes. Soon, the white light dissipated, and he could see his surroundings clearly. This place was actually a secret realm. No wonder the seawater couldn't enter. The surroundings were empty and dark. There was no sign of Bai Lu. Bai Lu? Ning Tian tried to call out and frowned. Logically speaking, Bai Lu should have entered the stone door before him. Could it be that this girl went to find the reincarnation Tao God first? Fellow Taoist Ning, I'm here. What made Ning Tian heave a sigh of relief was that Bai Lu's voice soon came from the side. He followed the voice and walked over. There was a candle flame here. He soon saw Bai Lu hugging the death bell and squatting in front of a huge pit. Her beautiful eyes were staring at the huge pit. What are you doing? Before Ning Tian could finish his words, he saw the scene in the huge pit, and his scalp instantly went numb. In the huge pit, there were rows of stone statues, which were exactly the same as the stone statues on the seabed outside the stone gate. However, the number of demonic beasts here was 10 times that of the outside world. Moreover, it was even more lifelike, as if it was a living creature. Moreover, according to his perception, the time laws on these stone statues were even denser. These are all sea demons, Ning Tian muttered to himself as he looked into the crater, his brows furrowed. If the sea demon statue outside the stone door was accidentally formed when it was close to the mausoleum, then what about the one inside the mausoleum? Was it also formed after the intruder? But how could it be so neat? At this moment, it was as if there was a huge mystery waiting for Ning Tian to solve. Stone statue, the law of time. It's like a living thing. Ning Tian muttered to himself as he looked at the sea demon statue in the huge pit. Everything was like a string that was being unraveled by him one by one. Reincarnation Tao God? As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Tian's eyes flashed. He seemed to have understood something. Haha, I understand now. Ning Tian suddenly woke up. Fellow Taoist Ning, what do you understand? Bai Lu hugged the death bell and squatted at the side. She tilted her head slightly and looked at Ning Tian curiously. Bai Lu. Ning Tian stood up and looked at Bai Lu seriously. He slowly said, I want to tell you very seriously that reincarnation Tao God might not be dead. This time, it might also be his reincarnation. His reincarnation might be different from others. He needs a huge amount of vitality, and these stone statues are his vitality. Through the power of the time law, he preserved the vitality of the sea demon tribe and turned them into stone statues. As for how he did it, I don't know. Of course, this is just my guess. Not dead. It's just a kind of reincarnation. Hearing this, Bai Lu was stunned for a moment. She hugged the death bell in her arms tightly and hesitated. But I remember that he was seriously injured last time. That was the power of a heavenly god. Heavenly god. Hearing this, Ning Tian's eyes flashed. Heavenly god. It was an existence above the ancestor god. The name of the realm may be a little wrong, but I can't help it. Please understand. He didn't expect reincarnation Tao God to be an existence that surpassed the ancestor god. Wouldn't that mean he was on the same level as the first wife's grandfather, heavenly god Shengyang? Perhaps, because this is just a guess, he said with a frown. A guess? Degree. Bai Lu's expression was a little confused. Actually, it's very simple to verify whether it's a guess or not. A smirk appeared at the corner of Ning Tian's mouth. He looked at the sea demon stone statues in the big pit with evil intentions. If all these stone statues are demolished, do you think reincarnation Dao God will come out? As expected of the Heaven Demolishing Gates founder, there was only one word in his mind now. Demolish. Perhaps we can give it a try? Bai Lu indicated that she had already boarded the pirate ship. All right, let's demolish it then. Ning Tian nodded and made up his mind. It was a pity that Sha Tian wasn't here now. Otherwise, that guy would be very happy to serve him. Boom. At this moment, the originally dark surroundings were suddenly brightly lit. Then, an old voice sounded. As expected of the heavenly god body, his innate understanding of the laws is extraordinary. I'm really envious. See, what did I say? As long as we demolish his painstaking efforts, he will definitely be terrified and come out naturally. Seeing that the surroundings were brightly lit and hearing the old voice, Ning Tian spread his hands, indicating that everything was under his control. In the dark hall, a white-haired old man in plain clothes floated over. He seemed to be a soul body now. You two aren't father and daughter. I'm afraid you two are grandfather and grandson? Both of you are soul bodies. Ning Tian glanced at Bai Lu, who was hugging the death bell, and then looked at the white-haired old man who floated over. He was Dao God reincarnation and silently complained. Taoist Ning, I've said, Senior Dao God is not my father. Bai Lu resisted the urge to draw circles and patiently explained to Ning Tian. If Dao God reincarnation wasn't present, she might have gone to the corner to draw circles and curse Taoist Ning. All right. You two should catch up. After that, you should answer my questions, Ning Tian said with a shrug. Bai Lu hugged the death bell in her arms and looked at the familiar yet strange old man in front of her. She took a deep breath and slowly said, Senior Dao God. Little girl, you finally found your way here. That old friend of yours, Death, didn't keep an eye on you. Dao God reincarnation sighed heavily. There was a trace of helplessness in his turbid old eyes. Senior Dao God, I just want to thank you. Bai Lu slowly opened her mouth. However, before she could finish her words, Ning Tian's expression changed slightly. He moved and immediately flashed to her side and covered her mouth directly. Don't talk. Bai Lu was speechless. Oh? Carrot? Author's words. Readers, when are you going to have a holiday? Take care of your health. Chapter 467. Don't talk. Ning Tian's expression was a little serious as he glared at Bai Lu. That fierce look immediately made Bai Lu feel wronged and confused. Taoist Ning, what happened to being kind? This is not kind at all. Oh. When Ning Tian let go of Bai Lu softly said, Oh, no wonder the Death Lord didn't let you come out of the Black Death Mountain. Seeing that Bai Lu didn't speak, Ning Tian heaved a sigh of relief. A glint flashed across his eyes. At this moment, he suddenly understood why the Death Lord didn't let Bai Lu come out. Except for the fact that the Death Lord might be a lily. More importantly, he took a deep breath and looked coldly at the white-haired old man floating in the air in front of him. He said indifferently, Old Taoist, you should know that Bai Lu is now a soul. Other than the death aura, she can survive until now because of her obsession, right? At this moment, Ning Tian finally understood. Bai Lu was originally a soul that parasitized in the death bell. Other than the death aura of the Death Lord, she could survive until now because of her obsession. If saying thank you to reincarnation Dao God was her obsession, then if she said it, her obsession would dissipate. If her obsession dissipated and she wasn't in the Black Death Mountain, then there was only one outcome for Bai Lu, and that was, if her soul dissipated, there would be no more Bai Lu in this world. Reincarnation Dao God was silent for a moment. Then, he waved his hand and the light in Bai Lu's eyes disappeared. After doing all this, he looked at Ning Tian. I just want this child to be released as soon as possible. Reincarnated as soon as possible? Released? Ning Tian frowned and looked at reincarnation Dao God. Yes, that child Bai Lu. I have always believed that she was created by me. However, that is not the case. She is merely a little girl that I encountered during the chaos of war when I was traveling the mortal realm. However, when this god met her, she was already on the verge of death. But I saw a desire to live in that child's eyes. That kind of desire, even some cultivators don't have. At that moment, I gained a new insight into reincarnation from her. Thus, I couldn't bear to see her die like this, so I fused this child's soul into the death bell. I didn't expect her talent to be so strong that she could actually become the weapon spirit of the death bell. Her strength has also stepped into the demigod realm. Tao God reincarnation looked at Bai Lu and sighed. Then why did you have the heart to watch her disappear? Ning Tian looked at Tao God reincarnation in confusion. In the beginning, this child was just a mortal. It was only because he met me that he managed to live for several million years. During the cycle of reincarnation, I have witnessed the life and death of many people. Some of them lived for several million years, but were depressed. Some of them lived for several dozen years without any regrets. This god has often wondered if liberation is something that this child should have. Tao God reincarnation said in a deep voice. No, you're dreaming. Ning Tian rolled his eyes at Tao God reincarnation and said indifferently, although you saved Bai Lu's life, her future is not determined by you. It's just like a cultivator's life. Although she was born by her parents, she should be the one to choose whether she wants to be a sword cultivator or a saber cultivator. Although Bai Lu's life was started by you, the choice should be left with her. This young lady is terrifyingly naive. I'm afraid she doesn't know what kind of consequences a thank you will bring to herself. However, she still wants to say thank you to you. Do you understand? Hearing that, Tao God reincarnation fell silent and frowned. Ning Tian circulated his spirit energy and was on guard. What if this old man became angry and attacked him? Although he could clearly sense that Tao God reincarnation's aura was very low, it was better to be careful. Haha. The heavenly god body is indeed worthy of its reputation. At this moment, Tao God reincarnation laughed and looked at Ning Tian with a different meaning in his eyes. Looking at Ning Tian, he felt a chill in his heart. Could this old man have some kind of bad hobby? All right, perhaps what you said makes sense. He waved his hand and the light in Bai Lu's eyes returned. The young lady hugged the death bell and was at a loss. What happened just now? However, Ning Tian and Tao God reincarnation were chatting happily and didn't have time to pay attention to her. Bai Lu fell silent for a moment. Then, she hugged the death bell, squatted in a corner, and began the familiar process. Draw a circle, a circle. I curse you, fellow Taoist Ning. At the side, Ning Tian curled his lips. Why do you only curse me? Taoist, did you teach her this skill? No. Maybe it's the master of death? Does that old friend of death have such a hobby? Tao God reincarnation stroked his beard and was a little puzzled. On the side, Bai Lu drew even faster. After a while, Ning Tian finally deceived, got some information from this old man. It turned out that during the battle, he was seriously injured. If he wanted to live, he could only start another reincarnation. As for White Willow, she was entrusted to the Death Lord. By the way, old man, Ning Tian seemed to have thought of something and looked at Tao God reincarnation. Taoist, what's the matter? Tao God reincarnation looked at Ning Tian. Oh, your daughter said that you died. Ning Tian made an oh sound. The corner of Tao God reincarnation's mouth twitched, and he looked at Bai Lu. Bai Lu hugged the death bell and hummed a tune. She silently hid in a corner with an expression that said, I don't know anything. And this young lady said that if I bring her here, you can give me your inheritance. Ning Tian's voice sounded again. Bai Lu hugged the death bell and hid in a corner. She hummed a tune even louder. Shoo shoo. So, old man, why don't you fake your death? Let's go through the process. Let me steal your inheritance. No. I'll inherit it all. Then, you can appear again. How about that? Ning Tian looked at Tao God reincarnation with a smile. Go through the process. A few black lines appeared on Tao God reincarnation's forehead. Although Bai Lu wasn't his daughter, this time, He really experienced the feeling of being cheated by his own daughter. And Ning Tian kept talking at the side. No way, no way. He had already become a god. How could he not be honest? The corner of Dao God Reincarnation's mouth twitched. Why did he feel that this fellow Taoist with the heavenly god body was so shameless? Cough, fellow Taoist. You're the most shameless one among the heavenly god bodies I've seen. Dao God Reincarnation said quietly. Is that so? That's pretty good. At least you're in the lead at the starting line. Ning Tian smiled. Why did Dao God Reincarnation keep praising him? Could it be that the people in the divine realm were all so sweet? Dao God Reincarnation. Forget it. He sighed and looked at Ning Tian. Then, what do you want? Well, I'm not a child anymore. I naturally know that I can't be greedy. Ning Tian's voice sounded, making Dao God Reincarnation nod with satisfaction. However, what Ning Tian said next made him speechless. Chapter 468. Since I'm not a kid anymore, I can't be greedy. So, I want all of them. Ning Tian looked at Dao God Reincarnation with a smile. Your broken burial dusk, your law of time. Why don't you give me some of your blood essence and I'll get your reincarnation body too? Not greedy. So, you want all of them? The corner of Dao God Reincarnation's mouth twitched. He looked at Bai Lu with a hint of resentment in his eyes. He suddenly felt that Bai Lu had brought Ning Tian here to rob him. Hiss, hiss, backslash. Bai Lu hummed a tune and tried hard to turn his head to the side. Since it had nothing to do with her, Bai Lu guiltily hugged the dead bell and drew circles. Forget it. Since fellow Taoist has already found this place, I can give the broken burial dusk to fellow Taoist. However, forget about my blood essence. My physique cannot be forcefully changed. Fellow Taoist, you already have the heavenly god physique. After all, this is the strongest physique. Dao God Reincarnation stroked his beard and said slowly, No, I'm not content, Ning Tian said seriously. Dao God Reincarnation fell silent again. He suddenly realized that he didn't seem to understand this heavenly god physique. That's not right. Although he didn't know all the heavenly god physiques, he still knew a few of them. Those guys might not be gentle, but at least they wouldn't be so shameless. Could it be, did the heavenly god physique mutate? Dao God Reincarnation frowned. Then, an ancient scroll appeared in his hand, and he handed it to Ning Tian. Fellow Taoist, this is my comprehension of the broken burial dusk. However, it's a little difficult to comprehend. It depends on your luck. It's okay. It's not difficult. Ning Tian raised the corner of his mouth into a confident smile. Their hands just happened to meet. Ning Tian's hand just touched the ancient scroll when Dao God Reincarnation's voice sounded. Fellow Taoist, you only need to call me master to cultivate the broken burial dusk. He didn't finish his words. Bang, bang. The ancient scroll fell to the ground. Ah, it's gone, Ning Tian exclaimed. With a wave of his hand, the ancient scroll wrapped in spirit energy flew back to his hand. He looked at Dao God Reincarnation with a smile and said kindly, Old Dao, what did you just say? Dao God Reincarnation was speechless. Was this guy doing it on purpose? He must have done it on purpose, right? I say, fellow Taoist, why don't you call me master? He had encountered quite a few heavenly god physiques in the deity domain, and each of them was ridiculously talented. This time, he had finally encountered a heavenly god physique that had not reached the great perfection stage. Why not take advantage of this opportunity to take advantage of it? But, are you sure you can take advantage of the patriarch? After all, only Wu Qing and Yu Yao could take advantage of the ancestral master. Cough, cough. Oh. Old man Dao, do you know Saint Sun God? Ning Tian looked at Reincarnation Dao God seriously and asked, Saint Sun Deity? Reincarnation Dao God was stunned for a moment and nodded. I have heard of that, senior. He is a heavenly god-tier existence. If we were to fight, who would win? 50-50. After all, that senior is a little old. What if we add the nine-tailed celestial fox? Ning Tian's lips curved into a smile. Demon God Region's nine-tailed celestial fox? Tao God Reincarnation frowned and said in a deep voice, if these two come together, I only have a 30% chance of winning. After all, these two have been heavenly gods for a long time. If they are ordinary heavenly gods, I am confident that I can win. Then you won't have a chance. I am acquainted with these two seniors, Ning Tian said with a smile. Although he was not very familiar with Saint Sun God and the nine-tailed celestial fox, it should not be too much to ask in advance, right? Tao God Reincarnation was stunned. Why did this heavenly god physique have such a powerful background? All the previous heavenly god physiques had fought their way up from the bottom. Why was it different when it came to fellow Taoist Ning? All right, old man Tao, it's time for me to comprehend your cultivation technique, Ning Tian said casually. Then, he placed his hand on the ancient scroll. Spiritual chi flowed slightly as he began to comprehend. Tao God Reincarnation's eyes fell on Ning Tian, and the corners of his mouth curved into a smile. Even if it was the heavenly god physique, it would be difficult for him to comprehend his broken burial dusk. Broken burial dusk? Divine level martial arts? TSK, not bad. Ning Tian muttered to himself, and then began to comprehend. Even Bai Lu stopped drawing circles and looked over curiously. Fellow Taoist Ning seemed to be quite talented. How would it be like to comprehend Senior Tao God's broken burial dusk? 5 minutes later, Ning Tian sighed. As expected of a divine-level martial arts, it's really difficult to comprehend. Haha, fellow Taoist, you don't have to sigh. Comprehend it with your heart. With your talent, you should be able to comprehend it completely in less than a year. Tao God Reincarnation stroked his beard when he saw Ning Tian being defeated. Although he comforted him, he could not hide the smile on his face. A year? Ning Tian frowned. Am I that stupid? Tao God Reincarnation was speechless. 1 year. Isn't it fast enough? It's not fast. Although I'm still a little novice, I only comprehended this little in 5 minutes. Ning Tian shook his head slightly and sighed. Then, a sun and moon made of spiritual energy appeared in his hand. A strange phenomenon suddenly appeared. Berry mountains and rivers, berry sun and moon. Berry sun and moon, 10% out of 100. Tao God Reincarnation was shocked and frowned. To comprehend 10% of broken burial dusk in just 5 minutes, what kind of monster was this? Hiss, if it weren't for my good physique, I might have wanted to possess you. At the side, Ning Tian's face darkened. Are you plotting loudly? You shocked Tao God Reincarnation. Reward, Time Law exclusive skill, Sand of Time. As for the specific skill, the host can understand it yourself. At this time, in his mind, the system's voice sounded. Time Law exclusive skill, Sand of Time? Ning Tian frowned slightly. Good heavens. He hadn't even grasped the time law, and the exclusive skill had already appeared. System, how much do you believe that I can get the time law? However, the system's words also reminded Ning Tian. Old man Tao, speaking of which, your time law? Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile as he hinted. No. Tao God Reincarnation shook his head. Speaking of which, old man Tao, your tomb is not bad. Why don't I move it away? Ning Tian's voice sounded from the side. Fellow Taoist, even if you say so, I can't give it to you. The time law is not taught by individuals. Tao God Reincarnation spread out his hands and said with a calm tone, and the comprehension of the time law has been buried by me at the bottom of the sea. Buried? The corner of Ning Tian's mouth twitched. Wasn't this old man too prodigal? The comprehension of the heaven and earth law was buried just like that? Why don't you bury yourself too? Also, are you a coffin bearer? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.